Chapter 200. You've really comprehended the sword momentum to perfection. Sword Demon's turbid eyes were as sharp as a knife. He looked at Yi Chunfeng, who had his hands behind his back and his sword momentum soaring to the sky, and spoke with high fighting spirit. Who are you? Yi Chunfeng's pupils contracted into the most dangerous pinhole shape as he looked at Sword Demon's skinny face and asked in a low voice. Although Sword Demon's sword momentum comprehension was far inferior to his, and had only comprehended the sword momentum to the 6th heavenly layer, Sword Demon gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. He had no doubt that Sword Demon had the strength to kill him. My name is Sword Demon, the second master of Black Demon. I'm here to kill you today, Sword Demon said in a cold voice. As he spoke, the sword momentum in his body instantly condensed and turned into a giant sword that could split the sky and earth. It carried a powerful destructive force and slashed toward Yi Chunfeng. Perfect sword momentum. Sword Demon condensed his sword momentum and slashed. Yi Chunfeng's perfect sword momentum gushed out and soared into the sky. The terrifying sword power stirred the air and broke the sword momentum attack released by Sword Demon. Peak of 5th level Mystic Beast Grandmaster. During the fight, Yi Chunfeng used the ability of the God Eater Brain to probe Sword Demon's true strength and felt a huge pressure. Perfect sword momentum is really powerful. Sword Demon's turbid eyes turned brighter after witnessing the power of perfect sword momentum. He had been trapped in the 6th heavenly layer of sword momentum for more than a decade. He had always dreamed of fighting with a top swordsman to deepen his comprehension of sword momentum and break through to the 7th or even 8th heavenly layer of sword momentum. Yi Chunfeng, whose strength was far inferior to his, was the best opponent for him to fight, which made him feel as if he had obtained a treasure. As for killing Yi Chunfeng, he was not in a hurry. In his opinion, with Yi Chunfeng's strength as a 4th level celestial beast immortal, he could kill him in a matter of seconds. Sword momentum 6th heavenly layer, 100 sword. Sword Demon let out a roar as the 6-fold sword force gushed out from his body and pierced the sky, causing the color of the sky to change. In the blink of an eye, the sword force released by the Sword Demon transformed into hundreds of sword shadows. Like rolling waves, they bombarded Yi Chunfeng one after another, trying to crush him. You want to use me to practice your sword? Although the sword attack launched by the Sword Demon was fierce, it was just pure sword power without a trace of soul power. It could not threaten Yi Chunfeng's life at all. This made him realize the Sword Demon's intention. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he didn't hesitate to release the perfect sword momentum to meet the Sword Demon. The two powerful sword forces collided with each other, like two rivers colliding with each other. Endless waves were set off, riddling the air with holes. Although this Sword Demon's understanding of sword force is inferior to mine, his understanding of sword force is above mine. Perhaps I can deepen my understanding of sword force by fighting with him. Yi Chunfeng muttered in his heart. While activating the perfect sword momentum to defend against the Sword Demon's attack, he also controlled the God Eater Brain to comprehend the Sword Demon's understanding of sword force. As the sword force released by the two became more and more violent, the two terrifying sword forces collided in midair, stirring up endless sparks. Due to the destruction caused by the two's battle, large areas of the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance's buildings collapsed. The ground was also filled with sword scars, trembling violently. Elder May, is there an enemy coming? Hearing the huge tremors outside, the exhausted Mo Yin immediately walked out of the house. Seeing Elder May rushing over, she asked loudly, "Not good, young Mississippi." The second in command of the Black Demons, the Sword Demon, suddenly appeared in our ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. Young Master Yi is currently fighting with him, Elder May anxiously reported. What? The Black Demons actually sent the Sword Demon to deal with us? Elder May, is Chunfeng in danger? Mo Yin's expression changed greatly, and she couldn't help but cry out. Mo Yin knew how terrifying the Sword Demon was. Even the #1 person on 3 Stars Island, the Celestial Star Merchant Alliance's Great Elder, was not a match for the sword demon. This made her worry for Yi Chenfeng. AI, the sword demon's strength is too terrifying. With our strength, we can't help young Master Yi at all. We can only pray that young Master Yi still has a trump card that can repel the sword demon. Otherwise, I'm afraid he won't be able to escape the sword demon's murderous hands. Elder Mei sighed softly and said worriedly, "Trump card? What kind of trump card can allow Chenfeng to defeat the sword demon, who is an entire realm above him?" Seeing the intense sword force clash in the distance, Mo Yin bit her lips, and the uneasiness in her heart grew stronger and stronger. What's going on? Who is Chenfeng fighting with? At this moment, Yu Nikhang, who heard the huge commotion, stopped her cultivation and hurried to the front courtyard of the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. When she felt the suffocating sword force in the sky, she nervously asked, "It's the Black Devil's second head, a level 5 mystic beast ancestor," Mo Yin softly informed. "What? A level 5 mystic beast ancestor?" When Yu Nikhang learned of the sword demon's strength, her expression changed greatly. She didn't even think and immediately rushed out, wanting to help Yi Chenfeng deal with the sword demon. "Nikhang, don't come over. I can deal with him. Don't worry about me." When he felt Yu Nichang's aura appear, Yi Chenfeng, who was constantly urging his sword force to attack, immediately transmitted a message to her. He was afraid that she would attack the sword demon and encounter danger. Sword force, 6 heavens, myriad sword tide. While Yi Chenfeng was distracted, the sword demon pushed his sword force to the maximum, turning into a myriad of sword tides that swept towards Yi Chenfeng. He wanted to suppress Yi Chenfeng's sword force and force out his potential, allowing him to comprehend more. Perfect sword force, Grand Tao energy break. As for Yi Chenfeng, he realized that he was unable to deepen his understanding of the sword force from the sword demon while they were fighting. He gave up on the idea of continuing to fight with the sword demon and forcefully activated the perfect sword force to evolve the power of the Great Tao. He easily shattered the thousands of sword waves that were attacking him and bombarded the sword demon, whose expression changed slightly. What kind of attack is this? Sensing how terrifying the Grand Tao energy evolved from the perfect sword force was, the sword demon didn't hesitate to release his powerful soul power, shattering the Grand Tao energy. An endless storm filled the air. Taking advantage of the moment when the sword demon clashed with the Grand Tao energy, Yi Chenfeng used form displacement phantom and escaped towards the forest northwest of the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. "Where do you think you're going?" Seeing Yi Chenfeng trying to escape, the sword demon unsheathed the long sword on his back. A sharp sword light cut through the air and pierced towards Yi Chenfeng's back at an extremely fast speed. Yi Chenfeng's soul perception was extremely sharp. The moment the sword demon attacked, his body shook slightly and turned into 9 afterimages. He dodged the sword demon's attack and continued to run towards the forest. Demon killing sword. The sword demon relied on his absolute speed to close the distance between him and Yi Chenfeng. The high-grade, earth-grade longsword in his hand slashed out a black sword light, carrying a powerful demonic aura towards Yi Chenfeng. Golden rock bloodline, speed amplification. Just as the black sword light was about to hit Yi Chenfeng's body, Yi Chenfeng activated the thin golden rock bloodline in his body and increased his speed again. He used form displacement phantom and moved in an extremely short amount of time, dodging the black sword light and successfully escaping into the forest northwest of the forest. Sword puppet. When Yi Chenfeng jumped into a lush bush, he summoned the sword puppet. Facing the invincible sword demon, Yi Chenfeng could only rely on the sword puppet to deal with him. "Brat, you are too stupid. You will only die faster if you stay here," the sword demon said coldly as he flew into the forest. Streaks of sharp sword light cut through a large number of ancient trees. As hundreds of ancient trees collapsed, Yi Chenfeng's movement speed was slowed down. Chapter 201. Wong. A shocking sword beam rose from a lush thicket, instantly shattering the thicket and slashing toward sword demon, whose expression had changed greatly. Demon killing sword. The sword demon did not expect a peerless expert to be hiding in the forest. He slashed the air with his sword, and a pitch-black sword ray pierced through the air and collided with the sword puppet sword ray. Rank 5 Mystic Beast Ancestor. The sword demon's face slightly changed after receiving the sword puppet's attack. He could not believe that he could not detect the presence of an expert in the forest with his soul perception. Master, I'll leave this person to you. While the two of them were fighting, Yi Chunfeng used Shifting Phantom and appeared behind the sword spirit puppet, shouting loudly. Move to the side. I'll deal with him and take his life. The sword puppet's eyes shone brighter than the stars as it said, domineeringly. What big words. I'd like to see how you're going to kill me. The sword demon's face sank as a huge, saber-toothed tiger appeared behind him. The saber-toothed tiger roared towards the sky, and the sword demon's soul power instantly erupted as a lightning-fast sword ray pierced towards the sword puppet's chest. The sword puppet did not dodge the sword demon's lightning-fast sword ray and rushed towards it. You're courting death. The sword demon did not expect that the sword puppet would not dodge his attack and wanted to use its body to block it. He revealed a sinister smile. But in the next moment, the sinister smile on his face froze. His turbid eyes widened as he revealed an expression as if he had seen a ghost. Chi, the sword light that was as sharp as a bolt of lightning struck the chest of the sword spirit puppet. It was as if it had struck a piece of black iron, causing numerous sparks to rise. However, it did not harm the sword spirit puppet in the slightest. Just as the sword demon revealed a horrified expression, the sword puppet quickly struck out with its sword. Endless sword rays swept towards the sword demon and forced him to dodge in a sorry state. The sword puppet's attack did not stop as it struck out again and again. In the blink of an eye, dozens of sword rays pierced through the sky and sealed off the sword demon's escape routes. Demon killing sword. Unable to dodge, the six-fold sword force gushed out from the sword demon's body. He wielded his high-grade Earth-tier longsword and thrust out a sword light that looked like a black dragon, intending to forcibly tear apart the sword puppet's attack. Although the demon-killing sword displayed by the sword demon was powerful, each strike of the sword puppet was extremely powerful. Dozens of sword rays swept together, creating an attack that was enough to shatter a mountain. Rumble! The demon-killing sword immediately trembled as it struck the sword rays that were wreaking havoc. After only 2 breaths, the demon-killing sword was shattered by the intertwining sword rays of the sword puppet. The undiminished sword light continued to strike sword demon's body, riddling his high-grade Earth-tier armor with thousands of holes. A large amount of blood flowed out uncontrollably. After injuring sword demon with dozens of sword rays, the sword puppet's body flashed and suddenly approached the bloodied sword demon, launching a close-range attack. The sword demon was proud of his top-notch attack and speed in the same realm. However, he was helpless in the face of the sword puppet's invincible defense. His advantage was completely suppressed, and he quickly fell into a passive position. He could only use all his skills to neutralize the sword puppet's ferocious attacks. Slowly, the sword demon's defense became weaker and weaker, and his counterattack speed also became slower. He knew that if this continued, his defense would be broken by the sword spirit puppet sooner or later. At that time, he would be in even more danger. Damn it, what kind of freak is this guy? Why is his defense so terrifying? Is he wearing a heaven-tier armor? The sword demon felt that he had struck the sword puppet more than 1,000 times, but did not bleed or suffer any damage. This made him suspect that the sword puppet was wearing a heaven-tier armor, but he did not doubt its identity. After all, refining such a puppet was far beyond the sword demon's knowledge. He did not even think about it. Lightning Slayer Sword. The sword demon, who was retreating, roared. His surging soul power intertwined with the six-fold sword force and slashed out with the strongest sword he knew. As the sword slashed out, heaven and earth shook. The six-fold sword force transformed into streaks of lightning-like sword rays that shattered the air and slashed towards the sword puppet's head, which was its weakest point. Lightning intent. As expected, although the sword demon's understanding of sword force is inferior to mine, His understanding of sword force is incomparable to mine. I didn't force him to use his strongest ability earlier, so I didn't gain anything. Looking at the streaks of lightning-like sword rays that tore through the air, Yi Qinfeng knew that his understanding of sword force was far from enough. He still had a long way to go if he wanted to improve and comprehend sword intent on a deeper level. The sword demon unleashed his most powerful soul skill, but the sword spirit puppet still didn't dodge. Its body was like a peerless treasure sword, condensing a destructive sword aura as it slashed towards the lightning, killing sword, forcibly tearing it apart. What? Is it not human? The sword demon's heart trembled when he saw the sword puppet's head being attacked by lightning. He finally began to suspect the sword puppet's identity. But at this moment, the sword puppet closed in on him again. It used its hand as a sword and continuously attacked the sword demon, forcing him to retreat again and again. Soul power ignition. In this perilous situation, Sword Demon took a deep breath and burned his soul power at all costs to increase his strength as much as possible. He unleashed his Lightning Slayer sword again in an attempt to force the sword spirit puppet back and escape as quickly as possible. But when his strongest attack hit the sword puppet's body, it still did not cause any damage to the sword puppet. Just as the sword demon's mind was wavering, Yi Qinfeng, who had been waiting for an opportunity, made his move. A high-pitched dragon's roar resounded from Yi Qinfeng's body. Perfect sword force, 150,000 kilograms of strength, was poured into the titanic, fault heavenly sword. The terrifying power shook the air and dense ripples appeared. 7 swords of judgment, extreme chill. Yi Qinfeng's attack power had reached the limit. He controlled the perfect sword force and forcefully deduced the power of the great Tao, using the strongest attack he had mastered so far. The extremely cold sword light was like a meteor, freezing the air and bombarding the sword demon's body. It wanted to cooperate with the sword puppet to kill him. Lightning Slayer Sword, Calamity of Death. At this critical moment, the sword demon, who was burning his soul power, spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Using his blood as a medium and his body as a guide, he struck out with a thunderous attack. The 2 powerful attacks collided, and the explosion was earth-shattering. The vegetation within a 1-mile radius was instantly incinerated, and the ground was filled with crisscrossing cracks. Pooh! Facing the calamity of death head-on, the extreme chill sword light was instantly shattered. Yi Qinfeng was also sent flying by the terrifying aftershock. He spat out a large amount of blood. The sword demon relied on his absolute strength to severely injure Yi Qinfeng. At the same time, the sword puppet suddenly rushed into the storm of destruction. It burst out several sharp sword lights and attacked the severely exhausted sword demon. After a round of fierce attacks, the sword demon's body was severely injured. Streaks of hideous bloody wounds covered his body. If not for the sword demon's terrifying strength and his powerful soul power, which forcefully weakened the sword puppet's fierce attacks, his body would have been minced into minced meat by the terrifying sword lights. Blood Escape. Chapter 202. Sigh, this sword demon is too terrifying. Even with the sword puppet's strength, I still couldn't kill him. Seeing the sword demon escape using the blood escape art, the heavily injured Yi Qinfeng couldn't chase after him and revealed a regretful expression. In the battle with the sword demon, the sword puppet had consumed a total of 60,000 mid-grade soul crystals, and Yi Qinfeng had also suffered heavy injuries. This made him deeply realize that he was still too weak. I have to hurry to the underwater cave. Otherwise, I'm afraid something unexpected will happen. Yi Qinfeng muttered to himself. He quickly took out 3 spirit-grade soul cores from his Chinquan bag and swallowed them. He circulated the soul-devouring art to refine them and heal his injuries. About 2 hours later, Yi Qinfeng, who had cleared the pill poison, used the 3 spirit-grade soul cores to heal his injuries. After recovering from his injuries, Yi Qinfeng didn't immediately return to the ancient Ink Business Alliance. Instead, he took out his communication pearl and sent a message to the anxious Yu Nikhang and Mo Yuyan to assure them that he was safe. Then he took the sword puppet to the Celestial Star Business Alliance, the strongest alliance on Three-Star Island. He wanted to snatch the key to the underwater cave. At this time, the Celestial Star Business Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Business Alliance immediately learned that the Sword Demon had appeared in the Ancient Ink Business Alliance and fought with Yi Qinfeng through the informants they had planted in the Ancient Ink Business Alliance. A Class 4 heavenly beast immortal who released his sword aura and didn't fall into a disadvantage against the Sword Demon. What kind of monstrous genius is this? He actually has such terrifying talent and ability. The Celestial Star Business Alliance's Alliance Master, Xing Wudao, revealed an extremely shocked expression when he heard that Yi Qinfeng had released his sword aura and faced the Sword Demon head-on. That person's talent is indeed terrifying, but talent doesn't mean everything. He's dead for sure now that the Sword Demon has targeted him. Once he's killed, Mo Yuyin will have no one to rely on. At that time, the Ancient Ink Business Alliance will change again. Our Celestial Star Business Alliance can seize this opportunity to swallow the Celestial Star Business Alliance's territory and strengthen our forces. An old man in a dark gray robe with white hair and a long beard and eyes as deep as the sea took a sip of tea and slowly said, "This gray-robed elder was Xing Wudao's father, the former leader of the Heavenly Star Merchant Union. He had just broken through to the third level of the profound beast ancestor Shanghai. Once we slowly devour the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance and snatch the key to the underwater cave abode that Mo Yuyin holds, we will be able to deal with the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance with all our strength. Once we snatch the key from the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance, the underwater cave abode will be exclusive to our Celestial Star Merchant Alliance." Xing Wudao's flat eyes shone with ambition as he fell into a beautiful fantasy. "Old Alliance Master, bad news. That fiend has come to our Heavenly Star Merchant Alliance." Suddenly, a panicked voice came from afar, pulling Xing Wudao back from his beautiful fantasy. "What's wrong? Who's here?" Xing Wudao asked unhappily when he saw his subordinates running into the palace. "It's that Yi Qinfeng," the Celestial Merchant Union's disciple reported. "Yi Qinfeng," Xing Wudao muttered, and suddenly stood up from his chair. His expression changed drastically as he said, "You're saying that Yi Qinfeng has come to our Celestial Merchant Union? Could it be that he wasn't killed by the Sword Demon?" Xing Wudao had already learned of Yi Qinfeng's name from the spies he had planted in the Ancient Ink Merchant Union. When he found out that Yi Qinfeng wasn't killed by the Sword Demon and had even appeared outside the Celestial Merchant Union, his heart was in turmoil. Could it be that he hid his true strength? Did he beat the Sword Demon? Thinking of this, Xing Wudao's eyes revealed a deep sense of apprehension. "What? Does the Alliance Master want me to be killed by the Sword Demon so badly?" Before the Celestial Merchant Union's disciple could reply, an arrogant voice resounded in the palace like thunder. Yi Qinfeng, who was dressed in a white robe and had a tall and straight figure, exuding a fierce aura from head to toe, and the sword spirit puppet, who had a cold and expressionless face, intimidated the disciples of the Heavenly Star Merchant Union as they slowly walked towards the central hall. What a fierce aura! Shanghai's eyes lit up when he sensed Yi Qinfeng's aura. However, when he saw the sword puppet beside Yi Qinfeng, a deep sense of danger arose in his heart. He kept guessing their intentions in his heart and didn't act rashly. "Yi Qinfeng, the one who wants to deal with your Ancient Ink Merchant Union is the Black Devil, not our Celestial Merchant Union. What are you doing here?" Xing Wudao concealed the shock in his heart very well as he looked at Yi Qinfeng and Shanghai, who were strolling into the palace, and asked in a low voice, "The two of us, master and disciple, have indeed come uninvited. We want to ask for something from the Alliance Master. Once we get it, we will leave immediately," Yi Qinfeng said indifferently. Master and disciple. After learning about the relationship between Yi Qinfeng and the sword puppet, Xing Wudao, Shanghai, and the others immediately looked at the sword puppet with reverence. They guessed that the one who had truly repelled the Sword Demon wasn't Yi Qinfeng, but his mysterious master. "May I know what you want?" Xing Wudao asked in a low voice, suppressing the anger in his heart as he sensed how terrifying the sword puppet was. "We want the key to the underwater cave abode," Yi Chenfeng said indifferently as he looked at Xing Wudao's solemn face. "That's impossible. Don't even think about it. We will never give you the key to the underwater cave abode." Xing Wudao's expression was extremely gloomy as he rejected it without even thinking. He would never have dreamed that someone would immediately ask for his key, just as he was thinking about the keys in the hands of the other two merchant unions. If it weren't for the sword puppet, the furious Xing Wudao would have already taught the lawless Yi Chenfeng a lesson. "Star Union Master, we came sincerely. You won't let us go back empty-handed, right?" Seeing Xing Wudao's gloomy face, Yi Chenfeng smiled faintly and said fearlessly, "Don't worry. Yi Chenfeng, aren't you too arrogant? Don't think that you can look down on our Star Union just because you repelled the sword demon. Let me tell you, if you push us too far, we won't let you go back." Xing Wudao could no longer control the anger in his heart. He smashed the square table beside him into pieces. Like an enraged lion, he glared angrily at Yi Chenfeng and warned him loudly. "It seems that Star Union Master isn't going to hand over the key to the underwater cave abode." The sword puppet standing beside Yi Chenfeng suddenly spoke. Its eyes were as sharp as knives, and its body erupted with a monstrous aura that made Xing Wudao and the others feel suffocated. Level 5 Mystic Beast Ancestor. Feeling the fierce aura emitted by the sword puppet, Xing Wudao, and the others' expressions changed drastically as they looked at him as if they were facing a great enemy. "Isn't it rude for you to show off in front of our Star Union?" Just as the sword puppet erupted with a powerful aura, a deep voice rang out in the oppressive hall. The ancient Ink Merchant Union's Grand Elder Xingyun was wearing a linen robe. His body was slightly stooped, and his hair was white as snow. He slowly walked over with a golden walking stick. Chapter 203. Grand Supreme Elder. Xing Wudao and Xing Hai heaved a sigh of relief when they saw Xing Yun's sudden appearance and the activated ancient array in the hall. Impolite. Since ancient times, the law of the jungle has always been the rule of the world. Since the three great merchant alliances are guarding such a huge treasure trove, you can't enter. Why don't you give it to me? Under the control of Yi Chenfeng's mind, the sword spirit puppet let out a deep and stern voice as it spoke tyrannically. "The key is in Ai's hands. If you want it, come and get it." Xing Yun, who had controlled the Star Merchant Alliance's ancient array for more than 1,000 years, had already fused with the ancient array. As long as he was in the ancient array, he could continuously extract energy from the ancient array and control its attacks. After fusing with the ancient array, Xing Yun could erupt with strength comparable to a level 6 Mystic Beast Grandmaster. This was also the reason why he dared to face the sword puppet head-on. "Yi Chenfeng, I've already said it. Don't think that you and your master can look down on our Celestial Star Commerce Alliance just because you defeated the sword demon. Not to mention you, even the Black Demon himself wouldn't dare to barge into our Celestial Star Commerce Alliance. I hope you can be a better person in your next life. There are some people you can't afford to offend." Xing Wudao's eyes were filled with viciousness as he spoke in a complacent manner. "You are too naive." The sword puppet looked coldly at Xing Yun, who had fused with the ancient array and was covered in white light, and spoke with neither joy nor sorrow. As he spoke, the sword puppet walked over step by step. With every step it took, the ground would tremble slightly. The powerful sword aura also increased with every step it took. The terrifying sword aura made Xing Yun and the others breathless. Ancient array power destroy. Xing Yun felt that the sword spirit puppet's footsteps had an indescribable demonic power. It was as if every step it took was stepping on his heart, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. He hurriedly controlled the power of the ancient array to attack the sword spirit puppet. The waves of energy from the ancient formation gushed over. The sword spirit puppet didn't evade. A blinding light shot up into the sky from its body. At this moment, it was like an unsheathed divine sword, completely invincible. Chi! The sword puppet used its body as a sword and slashed in the air. The dazzling sword radiance erupted with astonishing offensive power. Not only did it block the thunderous attack launched by the nebula's ancient formation, it even created a crack in the ancient formation's power and broke it. When the sword puppet attacked, the power of the brain erupted inside Yi Chunfeng's mind and rushed into the ancient formation to break it. As expected of the person who repelled the sword devil, this person's attack power has probably reached the 6th level of the mystic beast great ancestor level. Xing Wudao sucked in a breath of cold air as he watched the sword spirit puppet use its body as a sword to tear apart the ancient formation. Let's see how many times you can withstand the ancient formation's attacks. Xingyun bellowed. He poured all of his soul force into the ancient formation, mobilizing the formation's power as much as he could. It turned into streaks of light that resembled a meteor shower, attacking the sword spirit puppets in a concentrated manner. Sword puppet, defend with all your might. Don't let the ancient formation hit me. Seeing the concentrated power of the ancient formation, Yi Chunfeng immediately gave the sword puppet a defensive order. Upon receiving Yi Chunfeng's order, the sword puppet gave up on attacking and quickly stood in front of Yi Chunfeng, using its body to block the ancient formation's attack. Courting death, Xing Wudao saw the sword puppet's actions and revealed a sinister expression. Although he couldn't understand why the sword puppet would make such a low-level mistake, he believed that the sword puppet would die without a doubt. Boom, boom, boom. A series of deafening explosions rang out. Xingyun mobilized the ancient formation to the greatest extent, launching thunderous attacks that bombarded the sword puppet's body. A dazzling light burst out from the ancient formation, blinding everyone's eyes. Violent fluctuations of energy swept through the entire ancient formation like stormy waves. What? How is this possible? After a round of fierce attacks, Xingyun, Xing Wudao, and the others were stunned by the scene before them. They were horrified to find that the sword puppet wasn't injured at all after receiving hundreds of attacks from the ancient formation. There wasn't even a drop of blood on its body. What kind of body is that? Could it be wearing a heaven-grade battle armor? Like Sword Demon, Xingyun and the others suspected that the sword puppet was wearing a heaven-grade battle armor. Otherwise, its defense wouldn't be so terrifying. Your attacks are too weak. The sword puppet, whose body was as straight as a steel spear, looked at the dazed faces of Xingyun and the others and said emotionlessly, "You, who are you?" After witnessing the defensive power of the sword puppet, Xingyun panicked and asked in a low voice, "Weaklings don't deserve to know who I am," the sword puppet said arrogantly. "We admit that your excellency is very strong. As long as your excellency doesn't want the key to the underwater cavern, we are willing to fulfill any of your excellency's requests." Facing the invincible defense of the sword puppet, Xingyun felt a sense of helplessness. He sighed softly in his heart and admitted defeat. 200,000 mid-grade soul crystals, the sword puppet said in a low voice. "All right, we'll give it to you." Hearing that the sword puppet wanted mid-grade soul crystals, Xingyun agreed without hesitation. "I haven't finished speaking. 200,000 mid-grade soul crystals, and the key." The sword puppet had used up another 10,000 mid-grade soul crystals to block the ancient formation's attack. This made Yi Chunfeng very angry, so he deliberately blackmailed them. Don't you go too far." Hearing the sword puppet's words, Xingyun and the others were so angry that their lungs almost exploded. They almost vomited blood. "Yes, I'm going too far. What do you do to help me?" The sword puppet ignored the angry eyes of Xingyun, Xing Wudao, and the others and said coldly, "You." Xingyun's face turned from white to purple, from purple to green, and from green to black. His entire body was trembling. "If you don't give it to me, I'll give you 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals and the key." The sword puppet looked at Xingyun and the others who were about to vomit blood and demanded an exorbitant price. "Go to hell." Xingyun's anger was completely ignited. A towering rage erupted from his body as he roared loudly. "Ignite your blood and qi. Activate the ancient formation and kill it with all your might." Xingyun was so angry that he didn't hesitate to ignite the blood and qi in his body. He activated the ancient formation's power and used all his strength to kill the sword puppet. The terrifying ancient formation's power was like a meteor shower that fell to the mortal world. It carried a tremendous destructive force as it bombarded the sword puppet continuously. In the face of Xingyun's burning blood and qi, the sword puppet's feet seemed to be rooted to the ground. Its body didn't move at all as it easily blocked the ancient formation's attack. What are you guys waiting for? Hurry up and control the formation with me to attack it. The sword puppet's defensive power was beyond Xingyun's understanding. Looking at its unscathed body, Xingyun felt his heart tremble. He shouted at Xing Hai and Xing Wudao, who were dumbfounded. Yes, Xing Hai and Xing Wudao nodded. They poured their soul power into the ancient formation regardless of the cost. However, no matter how the three of them activated the ancient formation's power, they still couldn't shake the sword puppet. Gradually, their hearts sank to the bottom. Large amounts of cold sweat appeared on their foreheads. Just as the three of them were shaken, Yi Chunfeng's eyes shot out a large amount of formation's power. With the help of the God-Eater brain, he found the formation's weak point. He informed the sword puppet in his mind. In the next moment, the sword puppet's body erupted with perfect sword force. A blinding sword ray cut through the ancient formation's power and struck the formation's weak point. Chapter 204. What? The ancient formation cracked. The sword puppet's defense had already made Xingyun and the others tremble with fear. Now that the sword puppet had cracked the ancient formation with a single slash, a fear that came from the depths of their souls took hold of their bodies. After the first slash, the sword puppet continued to attack. It slashed out 36 times in a row, each slash tearing apart the ancient formation's power and attacking its weak points. The dazzling sword light pierced through the ancient formation like a hot knife through butter, tearing apart the formation's runes and greatly weakening the ancient formation's power. It also shook the hall, causing the ground to continuously crack. Grand Elder, what should we do? Xing Wudao couldn't help but gulp when the ancient formation was torn apart by the sword puppet. He looked at the extremely unsightly Xingyun and asked in a daze. The sword puppet's combat strength had already exceeded the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance's ability to resist. Xing Wudao had no doubt that if the sword puppet wanted to slaughter the entire Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, they wouldn't be able to stop it. Xingyun gritted his teeth and endured the humiliation in his heart as he shouted, "Stop! We can talk this out." "What? Are you afraid? Don't you think it's too late now?" The sword puppet said without a trace of emotion. "We admit that we underestimated your strength. We are willing to hand over the key to the underwater cave and give you 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals." Xingyun lowered his noble head in front of the invincible powerlessness. He took a deep breath and said helplessly, "Grand Elder." Xing Wudao and Xing Hai's expressions changed when they heard Xingyun agree to give the key to the underwater cave to Yi Chunfeng. They really didn't want to become the sinners of the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance. "Say no more. I've already made up my mind." Xingyun waved his hand and said with an unsightly expression, "Once we get the 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals and the key to the underwater cave, we will leave immediately." The sword puppet said coldly, "Wudao, go and get 30 mid-grade soul crystals," Xingyun ordered, leaving no room for objection. Yes, although he was unwilling, Xing Wudao knew that he had no choice. He obediently went to the treasury to get the mid-grade soul crystals. This is the key to the undersea cavern. While Xing Wudao was retrieving the key, Xingyun took out a dark golden key from his cosmos bag. The key was shining with a strange light, and handed it to the sword spirit puppet. Yi Chunfeng had once seen the key to the undersea cavern from Mo Yuyan. Therefore, he used his soul to scan the key that Nebula handed over to him. After confirming that it was indeed the key, he ordered the sword puppet to put it away. After a short while, Xing Wudao returned with a gloomy expression and handed over a cosmos bag that contained 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals to Yi Chunfeng. "Goodbye. After obtaining the key to the underwater cave and 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals, Yi Chunfeng didn't stay any longer and left the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance with the sword puppet, whose energy was almost depleted. Supreme Elder, are you really willing to give the key to the underwater cave to them? Ever since Xing Wudao took charge of the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, he had never been so sullen. He was unwilling to let Yi Chunfeng and Mo Yin take away the most precious key to the Commerce Alliance. Don't worry, I will use their blood to wash away the shame they brought to the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance. Xing Yun's eyes flashed with a vicious light as he spoke gloomily. Supreme Elder, do you have a way to deal with them? Xing Wudao's eyebrows slightly raised as he asked. If my guess is correct, after leaving the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, they will immediately head to the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance and take the other key from them. Together with the key in Mo Yin's hand, they will have all the keys to the undersea cavern. They want to monopolize the undersea cavern and obtain the opportunities inside. I won't let them do as they wish. I plan to sell this information to the Black Demons and the Black Tortoise King, who has just returned to 3-Star Island and unified several tens of thousands of seas. I think they will be interested in cooperating with us. At that time, we can use the power of their 2 factions to kill the 2 of them, Xing Yun said sinisterly. Supreme Elder, although this is a good idea, if the Black Demons or the Sea Demon race learn of the existence of the underwater cave, with their greed, I'm afraid we won't be able to take back the key, Xing Wudao said worriedly. Wudao, do you know that we've entered the undersea cavern more than 10 times already? Apart from a few devil crystal bones, we haven't gained anything else. This time, if we can gather a large number of experts and enter, we might have a chance to break through the restrictions of the undersea cavern and enter. Taking a step back, we've already lost the key to the undersea cavern. Even if we enter the undersea cavern with nothing, we can at least do the Black Tortoise King and the Black Demons a favor. As long as we eliminate the 2 of them, we can use their 2 factions to directly devour the Ancient in Commerce Alliance. At that time, our Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance will be the undisputed overlord of 3-Star Island, Xing Yun said schemingly. Supreme Elder, you're still the one who understands. We'll have to trouble you to discuss cooperation with the Black Tortoise King and the Black Demons. Xing Wudao and Shanghai looked at each other and revealed traces of joy. When they take the key from the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance, I'll immediately set off to discuss cooperation with the Black Tortoise King and the Black Demons. Xing Wudao nodded. Just as Xing Yin had guessed, Yi Chunfeng didn't immediately return to the Ancient Ink Commerce Alliance after leaving the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance. Instead, he brought the sword puppet to the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance. In the battle at the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, the sword puppet's energy was almost completely depleted. However, it had extorted 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals from the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, which completely made up for the loss. The sword puppet had fused with 30 mid-grade soul crystals in one go, which was enough to sustain its attacks for a long time. When Yi Chunfeng arrived at the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance with the sword puppet and explained his intentions, he also angered the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance and drew out the 2 supreme elders of the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance, who joined forces to attack the sword puppet. The Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, the strongest of the 3, had chosen to submit in the face of the sword puppet's invincible defense, let alone the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance, which was slightly weaker. As the sword puppet launched wave after wave of ferocious attacks, streaks of sword light soared into the sky like a giant waterfall, completely suppressing the 2 supreme elders of the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance. The majestic aura and invincible figure caused the heaven and earth to tremble, severely injuring the 2 supreme elders of the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance and intimidating the entire Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance. In the end, under the awe of the sword puppet's strength, the 2 supreme elders of the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance also chose to submit. They unwillingly gave the key to the underwater cave and 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals to Yi Chunfeng. After obtaining the 2 keys from the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance, Yi Chunfeng didn't waste any more time. He left the chaotic solitary cloud commerce alliance and returned to the ancient ink commerce alliance. He asked Mo Yuyin for the last key to prepare for entering the underwater cave. Chapter 205. Chengfeng, you're finally back. We were worried sick. Mo Yuyin, who was anxiously waiting in the ancient ink merchant union, saw Yi Chenfeng's return. Her anxious heart relaxed, and a smile appeared on her anxious face. All right, who is this? Looking at the unfamiliar face of the sword puppet and feeling the pressure from its body, Mo Yuyin softly asked. This is my master. He was the one who repelled the sword demon and saved me. Yi Chenfeng introduced the sword puppet's identity. Master. When Mo Yuyin learned of the sword puppet's identity and how he repelled the sword demon, shock appeared on her delicate face. She looked at the sword puppet with eyes full of respect and flattery. I'm a little tired. Arrange a place for me to rest. The sword puppet said without a trace of emotion. Yes, yes. Senior, please wait for a moment. I'll order someone to arrange it. Mo Yuyin didn't dare to delay and ordered Elder Mei to personally arrange a place for the sword puppet to rest. That's right, Yuyin. Now that my master has helped me get 2 keys to the underwater cave abode from the Celestial Star Merchant Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance, can you give me the key from the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance? Xingqian, you've obtained the keys to the Celestial Star Merchant Union and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Union? Mo Yuyin raised her brows, and her heart was in turmoil. She knew how important these 2 keys were to the 2 merchant unions. Unless the 2 merchant unions were in danger of being exterminated, they definitely wouldn't hand over these 2 keys. What she didn't know was that not only did Yi Chenfeng snatch the keys from the 2 merchant unions, but he also extorted 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals from the 2 merchant unions. Yi Chenfeng nodded his head and took out the 2 keys that he had snatched. Chenfeng, as long as you agree to one of my requests, I'll give you the key to the Ancient Ink Merchant Union. Mo Yuyin took a deep breath and gathered her courage. She looked at Yi Chenfeng's handsome face with a burning gaze and said, What request? Sensing the strange look in Mo Yuyin's eyes, Yi Chenfeng frowned and asked, I want to have a child with you. Mo Yuyin bit her rosy lips and mustered up her courage. What? Yi Chenfeng's eyes widened. His mouth was slightly agape as he looked at Mo Yuyin in astonishment. Her cheeks were slightly red and her eyes were watery. He didn't dare to imagine what he had just heard. Chengfeng, you are a dragon amongst men. In the future, you will definitely soar through the 9 heavens. As for me, I don't expect you to accept my love and stay in the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. I only want to have a child with you so that I can entrust my yearning to you. Mo Yuyin said with a complicated tone. I'm sorry, but I can't promise you. Seeing the longing in Mo Yuyin's eyes, Yi Chenfeng did not feel the slightest ripple in his heart. He shook his head and refused without a trace of emotion. Chengfeng, am I really that bad? Why can't I make you feel the slightest bit of interest? Mo Yuyin was very confident in her figure and appearance. However, she never thought that Yi Chenfeng would reject her without any hesitation. This dealt a heavy blow to her self-esteem, so she asked in a desolate tone, This has nothing to do with you. It's just that I wholeheartedly pursue the boundless Tao. I don't want to be affected by personal feelings, and I definitely won't leave behind any attachments here. Yi Chenfeng sighed softly and explained. Okay, I understand. Mo Yuyin's face was deathly pale as she said, Actually, I already expected this result. It's just that I was too naive and had an illusion in my heart. Now, I will fulfill my promise and give you the keys to the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. Mo Yuyin tightly bit her lips, not letting herself cry. She gave the precious keys and the map to the underwater cave to Yi Chenfeng. Thank you. If I manage to obtain a great opportunity in the underwater cave, I will definitely share some with you. Yi Chenfeng promised as he put away the 3 precious keys. Chenfeng, I'm a bit tired. I'll go back and rest first. With that, the disheartened Mo Yuyin turned around and left with red eyes. A3. Looking at Mo Yuyin's lonely back, Yi Chenfeng gently sighed. Although Mo Yuyin was very beautiful, She did not belong to him. Yi Chen-feng could not accept her. Nick Hang is still cultivating? After returning to the courtyard, Yi Chen-feng's sharp perception sensed that Yu Nick Hang was still cultivating. He didn't disturb her and returned to his room. He took out the 3 precious keys and studied them for a while before sitting down cross-legged to cultivate. At dawn, when the sky was just beginning to brighten, a powerful aura came from Yu Nichang's room. Sensing this aura, Yi Chen-feng was delighted. He knew that Yu Nick-hang had finally finished refining the Devil Crystal Bone. Nick-hang, now that you've refined the Devil Crystal Bone, what level have you reached with your 6th Meridian Divine Shield? Seeing Yu Nick-hang walk out of the room with her body emitting a powerful aura, Yi Chen-feng softly asked, "The energy contained within the Devil Crystal Bone is too powerful. After refining it, I've reached the minor completion of the Tendon Refinement Realm." Yu Nick-hang happily said. After reaching the minor completion of the Tendon Refinement Realm, her physical strength had reached 50,000 kilograms, which was enough to crush a 2nd-level profound beast ancestor. Nick-hang, I've already obtained all 3 keys to the underwater cave. You should rest well today. Tomorrow morning, we'll head to the underwater cave. In order to avoid any unexpected events, Yi Chen-feng wanted to head to the underwater cave as soon as possible. You went to the Celestial Star Merchant Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance? Yu Nick-hang asked with some surprise. Yes. After repelling the Sword Devil, I went to the 2 merchant alliances and forced them to hand over their keys. I also extorted 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals from each of them. Yi Chen-feng nodded and spoke without hiding anything. Chen-feng, how strong is your clone? Yu Nick-hang had long since known of the existence of the sword puppet and was curious about its strength. A 5th-level profound beast ancestor. After entering the underwater cave, Yi Chen-feng's greatest reliance was the sword puppet. Therefore, he couldn't hide the sword puppet's strength at all. A 5th-level profound beast ancestor clone. Chen-feng, even I am a bit envious of your fortune. Yu Nick-hang said enviously. Just as she said that, Yi Chen-feng's pupils suddenly contracted into the most dangerous pinholes. A sharp sword aura emanated from his body. Sensing the change in Yi Chen-feng's aura, Yu Nichang's heart tightened, and she asked, "Chen-feng, what's wrong? Did something happen?" 2 powerful demon beasts have arrived outside the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. They're very likely coming for me, Yi Chen-feng said in a grave voice. The 2 demon beasts had come with ill intentions. He guessed that the matter of him snatching the keys to the underwater cave had been exposed. The 2 merchant alliances wanted to use the demon beasts to eliminate him. Demon beasts? Chen-feng, how strong are the 2 demon beasts outside? Yu Nick-hang asked with furrowed brows. They're very strong. The strongest one is probably a 4th-level heavenly beast. The other one is also a 3rd-level heavenly beast, Yi Chen-feng said in a grave voice. 4th-level heavenly beast. Could be that black tortoise? Yu Nichang's face tightened as she thought of how terrifying the black tortoise's lightning tribulation was. She couldn't help but feel nervous. It's most likely that black tortoise. Yi Chen-feng took a deep breath and said with a grave expression, "Let's go. Let's go out and meet them." After saying that, Yi Chen-feng transmitted a message to the sword puppet and brought him outside the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. They saw the half-human, half-beast black tortoise king with a huge tortoise shell on his back and 4 thick and powerful limbs. The black tortoise king also had a long snake tail. Its entire body was covered in black snake scales, and it had the head of a beautiful woman and a long snake tongue. Xingyun, Xinghai, and the 2 grand elders of the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance stood behind the Black Tortoise King and the others. They glared furiously at Yi Chen-feng and Yu Nick-hang, who had brought them great humiliation. They couldn't wait to skin them alive. Chapter 206. Black Turtle King, Snake Demon King. They're the ones who took away the keys to the underwater cave. Xingyun looked angrily at Yi Chen-feng and Luo Feng, who brought him great humiliation, and said while gnashing his teeth, "I really shouldn't have let you live." The sword puppet's sharp eyes looked at Xingyun and the others, and said with a murderous intent, "How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? seeing that the sword puppet dared to threaten Xing Yun and the others in front of him. The Black Turtle King's round eyes were filled with murderous intent. His thick hind legs suddenly stepped forward, and his foot cracked the hard ground. His terrifying aura was like a surging tide, and it bombarded the sword puppet. Being attacked by the aura released by the Black Turtle King, the sword puppet stood still with its hands behind its back and let the terrifying aura bombard its body. And, after breaking through to the level 4 Heavenly Beast realm, the Black Turtle King, who had the strength of a peerless human king, looked down on everything. He didn't put the people and demonic beasts in the sea near the 3-star island in his eyes. However, when he released his powerful aura to attack the sword puppet, he couldn't shake the sword puppet at all. This made him very surprised. The 3 keys to the underwater cave are in my hands. If you want them, then come and get them from me, the sword puppet said in a low voice. Although the sword puppet's strength was far from the Black Turtle King's, its body was indestructible. With the Black Turtle King's strength, it couldn't cause any harm to it. You're courting death. The arrogant Black Turtle King didn't expect the sword puppet to be so arrogant and overbearing. His heart was burning with rage, and a powerful force exploded from his body, and he bombarded the sword puppet with a punch. Rumble! With a punch, the air violently trembled. The powerful airflow brought with it an unparalleled sense of oppression, and it smashed towards the sword puppet. 1,000,000 gene of strength. The terrifying fist light came, and Yi Chenfeng and Yu Nikhang, who were beside the sword puppet, immediately felt a strong sense of suffocation. Yi Chenfeng felt that the strength of the Black Turtle King's punch had probably reached 1,000,000 gene of strength. Too scary. The strength difference between a peerless king and a Xian Beastmaster is too big. Even if I use my life spirit technique, I can't block this punch attack. When seeing that the Black Turtle King's fist light was about to hit the sword spirit puppet, a powerful sword aura gushed out of the sword spirit puppet's body. It was like a waterfall flowing backwards, fiercely chopping at the Black Turtle King's fist light. Rumble! The Turtle King's fist attack. The sword light slashed out by the sword spirit puppet was only able to resist for a breath of time before it was shattered by the fist light that contained a force of 1,000,000 kilograms. Before the sword spirit puppet could dodge, the powerful fist light landed on the sword spirit puppet's chest, shaking its body. It's over. Seeing the Black Turtle King's punch attack on the sword puppet's chest, Xing Yun and the others were overjoyed. They thought the sword puppet was dead for sure. But in the next moment, the smiles on their faces froze. They realized that the sword puppet only took one step back from the Black Turtle King's attack. Apart from the fact that its clothes were torn, there wasn't a single wound on its body. It wasn't just Xing Yun and the others who were dumbfounded. The Black Turtle King also looked like he'd seen a ghost. The sword puppet's defense was completely beyond their imagination. Could it be that he's not human? The experienced and knowledgeable Xing Yun suddenly had a bold thought. He immediately cast his gaze toward the mysterious Yi Chenfeng, who was hiding in the distance. He sensed that something was off. Sword puppet, take the gigantic palace heavenly sword. The Black Turtle King's strength was too terrifying. Although the sword puppet relied on its body's defense to resist the Black Turtle King's punch attack, it consumed more than 10,000 mid-grade soul crystals. Even if Yi Chenfeng had nearly 1,000,000 mid-grade soul crystals, he couldn't bear such a terrifying consumption. In order to fight against the Black Turtle King, Yi Chenfeng immediately threw the gigantic palace heavenly sword to him. Heavenly weapon. Feeling the power emanating from the gigantic heavenly sword, the Black Turtle King's round eyes lit up with a fiery light. After breaking through to the 4th level of Heavenly Beast, it was currently lacking in heavenly weapons. If it could obtain a heavenly weapon, its offensive power would increase by several times. Chenfeng, what happened? At this time, Mo Yuyin, Elder Mei, Elder Hong, and the others heard the commotion and appeared. When they saw the Black Turtle King, the Snake Demon King, Xing Yun, and the others in their half-human, half-beast forms, their expressions changed and they became nervous. Nikhang, Yin, leave this to me. Quickly hide in the ancient formation and don't come out. Yi Chenfeng was afraid that Yu Nikhang and the others would be in danger, so he urged them. Chenfeng, be careful. Yu Nikhang knew that she couldn't help at all, so she quickly retreated to the ancient formation of the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. I'll chop you into pieces. The Black Turtle King opened its bloody mouth and spat out 2 high-grade Earth-tier axes that weighed more than 10,000 G. With a terrifying attack power, it chopped at the sword puppet and engaged in a fierce battle with the sword puppet. Snake Demon King, that Yi Chenfeng is hiding many secrets. Can you help to capture him? Xing Yun looked at Yi Chenfeng, who was hiding in the distance, and asked the Snake Demon King, who was dragging a snake tail that was dozens of meters long and sticking out its forked tongue, using telepathy. Sure. The Snake Demon King nodded. Its long snake tail wriggled and turned into a black light. In the blink of an eye, it appeared in front of Yi Chenfeng. Golden Rock Wings. The Snake Demon King's strength was equivalent to a level 6 Mystic Beast Sect expert. Ordinary demonic beasts were stronger than humans. Faced with the Snake Demon King's attack, Yi Chenfeng didn't hesitate and immediately activated the thin Golden Rock bloodline in his body. He summoned the Golden Rock Wings and flew into the air. Wings? Why does he have a pair of wings? Seeing Yi Chenfeng flapping his dark golden wings and flying in the air, the Snake Demon King, Xing Yun, and the others were all dumbfounded. Although they were all stronger than Yi Chenfeng, they couldn't fly. It could be said that Yi Chenfeng, who had the ability to fly, was in an invincible position. Miss you, who is Chenfeng? How can a human have the wings of a demonic beast? Mo Yin, who was in the ancient array, was stunned by Yi Chenfeng's constant exposure of his trump cards. She asked Yu Nikhang, who was beside her. I don't know. Yu Nikhang shook her head and said indifferently. She really didn't know Yi Chenfeng. Flying in the air, Yi Chenfeng took out the 3 keys and warned loudly, Black Turtle King, if you want the key to the underwater cave mansion, stop right now. Otherwise, I'll take the 3 keys and leave immediately. Brat, what do you want? After breaking through to the level 4 Heavenly Beast Realm, although the Black Turtle King had the ability to fly for a short period of time, it couldn't fly too high. Looking at Yi Chenfeng, who was flying in the air, the Black Turtle King asked with a gloomy face, Black Tortoise King, if you're willing to help me kill them, I'm willing to share the secret of the undersea cave with you and go to the undersea cave with you. Yi Chenfeng pointed at Xing Yun and the others, whose expressions changed greatly. Black Turtle King, don't listen to his nonsense. This brat is not telling the truth. Xing Yun, whose heart was trembling, shouted loudly. He was afraid that the Black Turtle King would be instigated and kill him. Black Turtle King, if you don't kill them, I'll take the keys and leave immediately. At that time, you can forget about getting the opportunity in the underwater cave mansion. Yi Chenfeng looked at the pale-faced Xing Yun and the others and continued. You. Xing Yun looked at Yi Chenfeng, continuously forcing the Black Turtle King to kill him. Cold sweat immediately appeared on his forehead. His mind was constantly thinking of ways to deal with it. If the Black Turtle King was instigated to kill him, then he would have no chance of survival. Chapter 207. Everyone, why don't we share this secret? A burly man in a black robe who exuded a fierce, murderous aura was standing on a black condor with a wingspan of more than 10 meters and feathers as sharp as swords as he said in a deep voice. Hey Mo, seeing the black-robed man appear on the black eagle, Xing Yun and the others who were nervous heaved a sigh of relief. Hey Mo, I didn't expect you to come too. Black Tortoise King looked at Hey Mo, who jumped down from the black eagle and had a murderous aura. His eyes were as sharp as lightning. I'm also interested in the underwater cave. Why don't we share the secret of the underwater cave and search for treasures? Hey Mo ignored Black Tortoise King's oppressive aura and said with his hands behind his back, what if I don't agree? Before becoming a level 4 heavenly beast, Black Tortoise King had some scruples about Hey Mo's strength. But now, he didn't put Hey Mo in his eyes at all and said domineeringly, Black Tortoise King, although you've passed the heavenly tribulation and become a level 4 heavenly beast and have the strength of a human king, the underwater cave has been passed down since ancient times. The restriction inside is no small matter. It shouldn't be difficult to kill you. Only by gathering everyone's strength can we have a chance to get the treasures inside. Hey, Mo said expressionlessly. And with your strength, are you afraid that we'll do something to you? Black Tortoise King. Hey, Mo is right. We do need some cannon fodder to help us explore. These people should be useful. Snake Demon King's charming eyes shone as she said, and if you and I work together, we can control the situation. We're not afraid of them playing tricks. Okay, I promise you. But if you dare to scheme against us, don't blame me for being ruthless. Black Tortoise King warned in a muffled voice. Have you forgotten that the key is in my hands? Yi Chen-feng, who was flying in the air, saw that Black Tortoise King and Hey Mo had reached an agreement and sneered. Yi Chen-feng, you don't have to think about threatening us. Although we don't have the key, we have the confidence that you won't be able to enter the underwater cave. Also, if we want to destroy the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance, you won't be able to stop us. So, you better think carefully about the consequences of refusing to cooperate with us, Black Demon said coldly. Hearing Black Devil's threat, Mo Yin and the others were so frightened that their faces drained of blood. They knew that Black Devil was not trying to scare Yi Chen-feng. If Black Devil and the Black Tortoise King joined forces, they would be able to tear apart the ancient formation and annihilate the entire ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. All right, I promise you that I will share the secrets of the undersea cave with you. Yi Chen-feng pondered for a moment. After weighing the pros and cons in his heart, he reluctantly agreed. In order to gain each other's trust, you, I, and the Black Turtle King must each hold a key, Black Demon requested. Sure, Yi Chen-feng knew that he did not have a choice. He could only nod and agree. He threw 2 keys to the Black Tortoise King and Black Devil. All right, I forgot to remind you that only 30 people can enter the undersea cave each time. My request is not high. I only need 3 people. As for the remaining people, you could distribute them yourselves, Yi Chen-feng said. All right, this king agrees. The Shin Turtle King did not even think about it and agreed. In order to avoid danger, I suggest that the Celestial Star Commerce Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance follow us to the undersea cave. They have entered the undersea cave many times and are more experienced than us. With them joining us, it will save us a lot of trouble. Yi Chen-feng purposely suggested. Seeing Yi Chen-feng's cold smile, Xing Yun felt a trace of unease. However, his lifespan was coming to an end. He had to take a gamble and try his best to break through to the level 5 Mystic Beast Ancestor Realm. Therefore, he would not let go of this opportunity. All right, then we will meet 1 month later at the port of 3 Stars Island and enter the undersea cave together, Black Devil suggested. After reaching a consensus, the Black Tortoise King, Snake Demon King, Black Devil, and the others left the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. Soon, peace was restored outside the alliance. When Yi Chen-feng put away his golden rock wings and walked into the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance, Yu Nikhang asked worriedly, Chen-feng, are you really confident that you can snatch the undersea cave's fortune from him? Yi Chen-feng shook his head and said, I'm not confident, but I can try. Chen-feng, why don't you give up on entering the undersea cave? Putting aside the threat of the Black Tortoise King, Black Devil, and the others, just the undersea cave alone is extremely dangerous. The slightest discomfort could cost you your life. Although Yi Chen-feng rejected her, Mo Yin still did not want anything to happen to Yi Chen-feng. Therefore, she kindly reminded him, Don't worry, although my strength is far from the Black Tortoise King and Black Devils, I still have some life-saving methods. As for you, Nikhang, entering the undersea cave might be very dangerous. If you really can't do it, you can wait for me in the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. Yi Chen-feng did not expect this kind of accident and was a little worried for Yunichang's safety. Chen-feng, did you forget what you said to me? Opportunities are to be fought for, not waited for. No matter how dangerous the undersea cave is, I have to give it a try. Yu Nikhang said with a firm tone. All right, then we will properly prepare for the dangers that may appear at any time in the undersea cave. Yi Chen-feng nodded as he looked at the determined expression on Yu Nishang's charming face. Chen-feng, is there anything you need me to do? If it wasn't for the fact that the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance still needed her to lead it, she would have disregarded everything and followed Yi Chanfeng to the undersea cave. Yu Yin, here are more than 6 million low-grade soul crystals. Can you help me exchange them for some materials to refine a talisman? Yi Chanfeng took out a heavy Qingquan pouch and handed it to Mo Yu Yin. Qingfeng, write down the materials you need on a piece of paper and give it to me. I will do my best to help you exchange them. Mo Yin gently said, as for the low-grade soul crystals, there is no need. If you obtain a great opportunity in the undersea cave, remember to share some with the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. Yi Chanfeng nodded and promised in front of everyone, okay, if I can return safely from the undersea cave, I will definitely make your ancient Ink Commerce Alliance the #1 commerce alliance on 3-Star Island. Time passed day by day. Although the materials Yi Chanfeng needed were rare and precious, Mo Yin still used 6 days to gather about 80% of the materials for Yi Chanfeng through various channels. She also found substitutes for the remaining 20%. After obtaining all the materials, Yi Chanfeng immediately went into seclusion. According to the inherited memories in the God-Eater brain, he borrowed the power of the profound frost spirit water to refine the 100 crystal cold jade talisman with a powerful defensive ability in the shadow, transforming golden needle talisman that could directly attack the soul. Although these 2 talismans were extremely difficult to refine, they weren't difficult for Yi Chanfeng, who had the God-Eater brain and inherited memories. After failing twice in a row, he borrowed the God-Eater brain's power to refine the 100 crystal cold jade talisman and the shadow, transforming golden needle talisman. Time passed day by day. In order to increase his life-saving trump cards and attack methods, Yi Chanfeng tirelessly refined these 2 talismans. His success rate also increased as time passed. Slowly, the 1-month deadline approached. Yi Chanfeng refined more and more 100 crystal cold jade talismans and shadow, transforming golden needle talismans. Finally, the 1-month deadline arrived. Yi Chanfeng also successfully refined 2,300 crystal cold jade talismans and 29 shadow, transforming golden needle talismans. With these talismans, Yi Chanfeng and Yu Nichan's ability to protect themselves greatly increased. Even the Black Turtle King wouldn't be able to instantly kill them. Chapter 208. Early in the morning, the beautiful beach was dotted with golden specks. Busy ferries shuttled between the 2 shores. Fishing boats and ocean liners formed a beautiful picture. Demonic beasts. So many demonic beasts. Run. Suddenly, a group of ferocious demonic beasts appeared at the 3 Stars Island's harbor. Their terrifying aura scared away the people around the harbor. Not long after the Black Tortoise King and the Snake Demon King appeared, the Black Devil and the 2 merchant alliances arrived one after another. After some discussion, the Sea Demon clan, which was the strongest, would take 11 spots to enter the underwater cave. The Black Demons would take 8 spots. The Celestial Star Merchant Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance would each take 4 spots, and Yi Chanfeng would only take 3. In order to fight for a greater opportunity in the underwater cave, the Black Devil brought almost all the experts in the organization, including the level 5 Mystic Beast Ancestor Sword Demon and the level 3/6 Great Black Devil Demon Kings. The 2 merchant alliances also send out all their experts. Except for the 2 alliance masters, all the Mystic Beast sect experts in the merchant alliances were sent out. The Sea Demon clan is so powerful. When Yi Chanfeng and Yu Nikhang arrived, they found that the 3 Stars Island's harbor was full of experts. Among them, the Sea Demon clan was the strongest. Except for the level 4 Heavenly Beast Black Tortoise King and the level 3 Heavenly Beast Snake Demon King, the other 9 demonic beasts were all level 2 Heavenly Beasts, comparable to level 4 and level 5 human experts. All right, time's up. Let's go. The Black Devil looked at Yi Chanfeng and Yu Nikhang with indifferent eyes. He didn't see the sword puppet, so he was basically sure that the sword puppet was Yi Chanfeng's clone. He couldn't help but think highly of Yi Chanfeng. The sword demon, who suffered a great loss, acted as if he didn't know Yi Chanfeng. His arrogant face didn't have any change in expression, and he didn't even look at Yi Chanfeng. Roar! The black tortoise king, who was like a small mountain, roared as it crawled on the beach. 10 aggressive sea demons followed the black tortoise king and jumped into the vast sea. Meanwhile, Black Devil and the people from the two great merchant alliances jumped onto their respective flying spirit beasts and drove them to the sea area where the underwater cave was located. Nick Hang, let's go. Yi Feng held Yu Chang's soft body in his arms and summoned his golden rock wings. He flew into the blue sky and followed closely behind Black Demon's group. Everyone, the undersea cave mansion is in front of us. Let's go down. After flying continuously for nearly 2 days, they arrived above a sea area where the airflow was somewhat disordered. The Supreme Elder of the Star Merchant Alliance, Xing Yun, observed the surrounding environment and said loudly, "Yes." The Black Demon's deep eyes observed the surrounding environment. Then, he led the Black Demon experts and leaped into the surging waves of the sea. Nick Hang, be careful. If there is any danger, remember to use the talisman that I gave you. Yi Feng sent a message to her. Then, he put away his golden rock wings and dived into the vast sea with Yu Kang. They followed closely behind Black Demon and the people from the two great merchant alliances and swam in the bone-chilling sea. As they dived deeper and deeper, the pressure of the sea became greater and greater. Fortunately, Yi Feng and Xuan Yichang's physical strength was strong enough to withstand the pressure of the sea. 1,000 meters, 2,000 meters, 4,000 meters. When Yi Feng and his group dived for nearly 6,000 meters, they found a long and narrow trench in the sea. Waves of majestic aura gushed out from the trench, causing the sea to surge violently and forming thunderous roars. The undersea cave mansion is in that trench. Let's go down. Xing Yun, who was wearing an earth-grade battle armor to protect his body, said. He led the group through the turbulent airflow and into the dangerous trench. Roar, roar. When Yi Feng and his group carefully dived into the middle of the trench, they suddenly heard angry roars and fierce battle sounds coming from the trench. The sea demons that had entered the trench earlier were fighting fiercely with the sea demons in the trench. A large amount of blood emerged from the depths of the trench and dyed the sea red. Oh no, I forgot to tell the Black Turtle King and the others about the taboo. Killing is forbidden in the trench. Seeing the blood in the sea, Xing Yun and the others trembled. They only wanted to scheme against Yi Feng and leave his life in the undersea cave mansion, but they forgot to remind the Black Turtle King of the most important taboo. There were tens of thousands of powerful sea demons living in the trench, and these sea demons were especially sensitive to the smell of blood. Once there was the smell of blood, they would flock over. The Black Turtle King and the others were killing sea demons without restraint in the trench. They were bound to attract a large number of sea demons and besiege them. This greatly increased the difficulty of entering the undersea cave mansion. Let's speed up and enter the undersea cave mansion. If we are late, we might be in danger. Sensing the danger, Xing Yun and the others no longer held back. They all unleashed their powerful strength and quickly swam towards the depths of the trench like flying arrows. Xing Yun and the others suddenly sped up. Yi Feng immediately felt suspicious. He tightly grabbed Yu Chang's soft little hand and followed behind them. So many sea sharks. As they swam, Yi Feng found hundreds of sea sharks that were completely black. They were baring their sharp teeth and staring with blood-red eyes. These sea sharks were all over 20 meters long. Waves of brutal aura were emitted from their bodies, which made people shudder. Hundreds of black sea sharks noticed that Yi Feng and the others had intruded into their territory. They immediately opened their bloody mouths and attacked at an extremely fast speed. Nick Hang, don't fight. Let's break through with all our strength. Feeling that these hundreds of sea sharks were extremely terrifying, Yi Feng didn't hesitate to summon the sword puppet and gave it the titanic Fault Heaven sword. He ordered the sword puppet to open a path for the two of them. Under the crazy attacks of the sword puppet, the sea sharks that were blocking the way were killed one after another. Large amounts of blood dyed the seawater red. Smelling the thick smell of blood in the seawater, these sea sharks became even crazier. Their ferocious attacks brought great pressure to the group. No, along with a Class 1 mystic beast ancestor, great grand elder of the Star Merchant Alliance, let out a terrified wail. His body's defense was broken by the sharp teeth of a sea shark. More than half of his body was bitten off. Following that, several ferocious sea sharks swarmed up and directly tore this great grand elder's body into pieces. Before entering the undersea cave mansion, one person had already died. This cast a layer of haze over everyone's heart and made them nervous. As the pressure increased, everyone gave up on the idea of a fierce battle. They used all their strength to break out of the encirclement and slowly approached the fierce battle of the Mystic Turtle King and the other demonic beasts. Although the Mystic Turtle King's party was powerful, there were too many demonic beasts in the trench. In addition, there were also many high-level demonic beasts. For a moment, the Mystic Turtle King and the other demonic beasts were also in big trouble and fell into a bitter battle. Among them, two eel-shaped demonic beasts were covered in wounds and couldn't hold on for much longer. Qingfeng, what should we do? There are too many demonic beasts in this trench. They are too powerful. Looking at the strange and terrifying demonic beasts in the sea, Yunixing felt helpless. She nervously transmitted a message to Yi Chanfeng, who was next to her. Don't worry, there will be a chance. Although they were in deep danger, Yi Chanfeng didn't panic. While he was attacking, he released his powerful soul perception and covered a large area of the trench, looking for a chance to break out of the encirclement. However, the number of demonic beasts attracted was too many. As a large number of demonic beasts discovered Yi Chanfeng and the others and attacked them, their situation became more and more dangerous. Roar! Roar! Two miserable roars sounded. The two subordinates of the Mystic Turtle King were torn apart by the demonic beasts and died on the spot. Chapter 209. Roar! A high-pitched dragon roar suddenly resounded. Facing the increasing pressure, Yi Chanfeng summoned his spirit beast, the Blood Dragon, and erupted with a strength of 350,000 jin. Dragons were divine beasts. When the Blood Dragon appeared on Yi Chanfeng's body, it emitted a dragon's aura that caused the attacking demonic beasts to tremble and their attack speed to slow down. Seizing this opportunity, the sword puppet fiercely attacked with the titanic Fault Heavenly Sword. The sharp sword light slashed open the blood-red seawater and split two tentacled octopuses in half, creating a gap. Yunixing, follow me closely. The moment the sword puppet killed the two octopuses, Yi Chanfeng and Yunixing immediately sped up and followed closely behind the sword puppet. They passed through the increasing pressure of the seawater and swam towards the bottom of the trench. While they were breaking through the encirclement, Yi Chanfeng pushed his soul perception to the limit and constantly searched for places where there were fewer demonic beasts. However, there were simply too many demonic beasts in the trench. Even with the protection of the sword puppet, Yi Chanfeng and Yunixing were still surrounded by danger. Their bodies were covered in wounds from the demonic beasts, and they were dripping with blood. Damn it, I've already used up 100,000 mid-grade soul crystals. As the sword puppet killed more and more demonic beasts, its consumption also increased. Yi Chanfeng sensed that after a round of fierce killing, the sword puppet had consumed 100,000 mid-grade soul crystals. Yunixing, watch out. Just as the pressure on Yi Chanfeng was increasing and their injuries were worsening, a swordfish with a sharp mouth suddenly launched a fatal attack at Yunixing. After a series of fierce battles, Yunixing's strength was not enough to support such a high consumption of energy. When the swordfish suddenly attacked, she was already too weak to resist. At the critical moment, Yunixing detonated the 100 crystal cold jade talisman hidden in her palm. Immediately, a large amount of cold light shot out from the talisman and condensed into 100 layers of defensive light shield, enveloping Yunixing and blocking the swordfish's fatal attack. Instant kill sword. With the help of the 100 crystal cold jade talisman, the moon raiment had saved the day, and Yi Chanfeng immediately made his move. His perfect sword aura gathered in his jasper sword, and his entire body turned into a thin sword light, instantly killing the level 1 heavenly bee swordfish. A large amount of blood filled the sea. Chingfeng, I can't hold on any longer. Don't worry about me. I'll think of a way to leave the trench by myself. I won't accompany you to the underwater cave. Although Yu Nikhang had managed to keep her life, the continuous battle had caused her injuries to be extremely serious. Her soul power was also almost depleted, and with her current condition, she would only be a burden to Yi Chenfeng. Don't talk nonsense. Open your mouth. Yi Chenfeng knew that if Yu Nikhang was separated from him, even with the protection of the 100 crystal cold jade talisman, it would be difficult for her to leave the trench alive. As such, he pulled her into his embrace and ordered her, not allowing her to refuse. Hearing Yi Chenfeng's domineering voice and his firm gaze, the despairing Yu Nichang's heart trembled, and she obediently opened her rosy mouth, looking extremely alluring. At this critical moment, Yi Chenfeng had no time to appreciate Yu Nichang's alluring appearance. He quickly wrapped a small amount of vitality water with his soul power and stuffed it into her mouth. Immediately, Yu Nichang's exhausted soul power was restored to normal, and the serious injuries on her body were also recovering at an extremely fast speed. In the future, without my orders, you're not allowed to leave me without permission, Yi Chenfeng said in a slightly domineering manner. As for the arrogant Yu Nikhang, not only did she not refute, she obediently nodded instead. An alluring blush appeared on her cheeks, and her eyes were blurred. Sword Puppet, continue to open the path. Yi Chenfeng watched as more and more demon beasts besieged them. He continued to order the Sword Puppet to burst forth with powerful attacks, opening a path for the two of them to swim to the bottom of the trench. Just as the battle was getting more and more intense, and Yi Chenfeng and the others were getting more and more pressured, the Black Tortoise King could no longer control the anger in its heart after seeing its third subordinate die. It let out a deafening roar. Its hill-like body quickly shrunk and transformed into a half-human, half-beast battle form. And the battle form was the strongest form of a demon beast. However, only demon beasts that had undergone the baptism of the lightning tribulation could transform into it. Once it transformed into the battle form, the strength of the demon beast would be doubled. This was also the Black Tortoise King's last resort. You bastards, go to hell. The Black Tortoise King, who was in the battle form, roared. It held a pair of huge axes that weighed over 10,000 jin and started a frenzied massacre. It unceasingly chopped the savage demon beasts into pieces. The terrifying attack, the ferocious offensive, immediately attracted the attention of the majority of the demon beasts in the trench. For a moment, the strongest Black Tortoise King became the target of public criticism and attracted the attention of the majority of the demon beasts. Good chance. Seizing this rare opportunity, Yi Chenfeng's perfect sword force gushed out from his body. He quickly deduced the power of the Great Tao and transformed it into an extremely cold air. Judgment 7 Swords, Extreme Cold. With a slash of the sword, the blood-stained seawater instantly froze. The Great Tao power transformed into the extreme cold sword light that was like the Milky Way flowing backward. It split open the seawater and instantly killed a few demon beasts that were surrounding it. The moment Yi Chenfeng performed the Judgment 7 Swords, the sword puppet also performed its most powerful attack. A large amount of soul crystals melted and poured into the gigantic fault heavenly sword. An unstoppable sword shadow shot out and followed the extreme cold sword light to the bottom of the trench. Nikhang, let's go. Yi Chenfeng quickly drank a small sip of the fate water to replenish the consumption of the Judgment 7 Swords. He then activated his Golden Rock bloodline and summoned his Golden Rock wings. He hugged Yu Nikhang and swam towards the bottom of the trench with the sword puppet. Under the attack of the Judgment 7 Swords and the sword puppet, which consumed tens of thousands of mid-grade soul crystals, the demon beasts in the sea didn't dare to stop them and allowed them to swim to the bottom of the trench. As for the Black Demon and the experts from the two great merchant alliances, they seized the opportunity when the majority of the demon beasts were attracted by the Black Turtle King. They used all of their abilities to forcefully break through the encirclement, leaving the Black Turtle King, Snake Demon King, and the rest of the demon beasts behind. Roar! Piss off for this king. Seeing Yi Chun-Feng and the rest break through the encirclement, the Black Turtle King let out an angry roar. His entire body erupted with the strength of 1,000,000 Jin, and he carried the wounded Snake Demon King and the rest to break through the encirclement. With the Black Turtle King's strength, the demon beasts in the trench couldn't stop him at all. However, his subordinates were in a miserable state. They were constantly attacked by the demon beasts in the trench, which worsened their injuries. Soon, 2 of the demon beasts under the Black Turtle King's command were bitten to pieces by the demon beasts in the trench due to their heavy injuries, and they died in the trench. As for the Black Demon, whose speed was far slower than Yi Chun-Feng's group, the 2 great merchant alliances suffered even more losses. When they were close to the underwater cave, people were constantly being killed by the demon beasts. About half an hour later, under the protection of the sword puppet, Yi Chun-Feng and Yu Nikhang successfully broke through the encirclement and appeared at the bottom of the trench. Chapter 2:10. Damn it! Where is this underwater cave? As far as the eye could see, there was no sign of a cave at the bottom of the trench. Yi Chun-Feng ordered the sword puppet to defend against the demon beasts while he released his powerful soul power to sense the location of the underwater cave. Teleportation power. After about half an incense stick's worth of time, Yi Chun-Feng's soul power detected an extremely weak teleportation power from several thousand meters away. He immediately flapped his golden rock wings and brought Yu Nikhang with him as they flew through the high pressure of the seawater at an extremely fast speed. After traveling several thousand meters, Yi Chun-Feng discovered a 1-meter-tall stone stele at the bottom of the trench. It gave off an ancient aura. Below this stone stele was an ancient teleportation formation. Finally found the entrance to the underwater cave. Recalling Mo Yin's words, Yi Chun-Feng quickly released his soul power to clean up the mud around the stone tablet. At the center of the stone tablet, he found 3 identical keyholes. Without hesitation, he inserted the key in his hand into the keyholes. Immediately, a strange energy was released from the stone tablet and seeped into the seawater. The dozens of sea demons that were fighting fiercely with the sword spirit puppets felt the power gushing out from the stone tablet, and they seemed to be greatly frightened. They were so scared that they fled in panic and soon disappeared. Phew, finally safe. Yi Chun-Feng let out a long sigh of relief when he saw that the sea monster had been scared away by the power of the stone tablet. He quickly fused the 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals into the sword spirit puppet's body, which had almost exhausted all of its energy. He and the Moon Raiment made use of the limited time they had to recover their soul energy. After about half an incense stick's worth of time, the heavily injured black demons and the 2 merchant alliances successfully broke through to the bottom of the trench and arrived at the stone tablet. After the bloody battle with the demon beasts in the trench, the black demons suffered heavy casualties. 4 of the 6 demon kings died, leaving only the black demons, sword demon, saber demon, and spear demon king. The 2 merchant alliances suffered even more casualties. The Star Merchant Alliance only had a Class 4 Mystic Beast Ancestor Xingyun and a Class 3 Mystic Beast Ancestor Xinghun left. Of the 4 from the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance, only the Supreme Elder, Gu Tianxing, survived. The other 3 were all killed by the sea demons in the trench. Black Demon, quickly insert the key into the stone tablet. Yi Chun-Feng looked at Black Demon, whose face was as gloomy as water and whose body was riddled with wounds, and urged him with a voice transmission. Black Demon inserted the key in his hand into the stone tablet. The stone tablet once again released a strange power, and dense ripples appeared on the surface of the sea. Roar! A deafening roar sounded. The Black Tortoise King, who was in his combat form, held a heavy and powerful axe. He led the Snake Demon King and other demon beasts and finally broke out of the encirclement. However, the Black Tortoise King side had also suffered heavy casualties. Besides the Black Tortoise King and the Snake Demon King, Of the 9 level 2 heavenly beasts, only 3 were left. The other 6 had all perished in the trench. They had never expected such a result. Never in their wildest dreams would they have thought that there would be such a large number of casualties before they even entered the undersea cave. Lowly humans, why didn't you inform this king of the dangers here in advance? The Black Turtle King widened his round eyes, angrily looking at Xingyun and the others. He was enraged. So this trench isn't that dangerous. Xingyun didn't dare to blame the irritable Black Tortoise King, and he didn't know how to explain it. The reason why he didn't warn them in advance was because he wanted to trick Yi Chunfeng. However, who would have thought that Yi Chunfeng and Black Tortoise King were fine under the protection of the sword puppet, but they suffered heavy casualties? Tell me, what dangers are there in this undersea cave? If Xingyun and the others weren't still useful, the angry Black Tortoise King would have torn them apart to vent his anger. Our 3 business alliances have entered the undersea cave's outer area more than 10 times in the past 1,000 years. Every time, we stayed there for a full year. Almost all the dangers were eliminated. However, because the undersea cave's inner area has a restriction formation, our 3 business alliances couldn't break the restriction formation and enter the undersea cave's inner area. So I don't know what's inside. Looking at the Black Tortoise King, who was full of killing intent, Xingyun didn't dare to hide anything and said truthfully, "Trash." The Black Tortoise King scolded and inserted the last key into the stone tablet. Rumble. A thunderous boom rang out from the stone tablet. Countless rays of white light poured out from the teleportation formation under the stone tablet, illuminating the dark trench as if it was daytime. The dazzling light was unbearable. Even the strongest Black Tortoise King closed his eyes at this moment. In the next moment, a large number of talismans emerged from the teleportation formation under the stone tablet and enveloped everyone. In the blink of an eye, everyone disappeared from the trench and entered the undersea cave. The endless white light disappeared in front of his eyes. Yi Chunfeng instinctively shook his hand and found that Unikhang was still beside him. He couldn't help but feel relieved. This is the undersea cave's outer area. When looking around, Yi Chunfeng found that he appeared in a boundless desert. At a glance, he couldn't see the end. Moreover, the spirit chi in the desert was very thin. It was almost negligible. This made him a little surprised. Not good. Just when Yi Chunfeng was observing the surrounding environment, his keen perception sensed danger. Without thinking, he immediately summoned the golden rock wings and flew into the air with Unikhang. The moment he dodged, an axe that cut through the air fell from the sky and cut a deep mark in the place where he was just a moment ago. "Big Tortoise, what are you doing?" Tightly hugging Yi Chunfeng's body, Unichang's charming eyes were filled with anger as she questioned loudly. "Now that you've entered this place, you have no value. Die obediently." The Black Tortoise King spoke in human language. Its huge body flew into the air and approached Yi Chunfeng at an extremely fast speed. However, Yi Chunfeng's flying ability was far superior to the Black Tortoise King. He fiercely flapped his golden rock wings and quickly flew to a height that the Black Tortoise King could not reach. He held the titanic sword in his hand and launched a counterattack at the Black Tortoise King. Although relying on its own strength and defense, the Black Tortoise King could ignore Yi Chunfeng's attack. However, its attack could not hit Yi Chunfeng. It was constantly attacked, which made the Black Tortoise King very angry. Its lungs were about to explode from anger. "Lowly human, this king will definitely swallow you." The angry Black Tortoise King roared loudly at Yi Chunfeng. The terrifying sound wave caused the air to tremble violently. It shook Yi Chunfeng's blood and qi to churn. It's not certain who will kill who. After shedding all pretense of cordiality, Yi Chunfeng no longer had any scruples. With a thought, he summoned the sword puppet and ordered it to attack the 3 scarred subordinates of the Black Tortoise King. The 3 subordinates of the Black Tortoise King were not as strong as the sword puppet. Now that they were heavily injured, they were even less able to block the sword puppet's attack. In the blink of an eye, a golden shell demon crab had its hard crab shell split open by the sword puppet's sharp attack. Its demon core was also shattered by the sword puppet's sword. It couldn't be more dead. People of the Black Demon, follow me. Seeing the Black Tortoise King and the other demon beasts being restrained by Yi Chunfeng and the sword puppet, the Black Demon did not hesitate and immediately led the group into the depths of the desert. Meanwhile, the people from the two merchant unions saw that the Black Tortoise King couldn't do anything to Yi Chunfeng. They were afraid that it would vent its anger on them, so they followed the Black Demon's group. Little bastard, just you wait. Sooner or later, I will tear you apart. Chapter 211. Chunfeng, now that we have shed all pretense of cordiality with the mysterious Turtle King, we must always be on guard against it. With its strength, it would be too easy for it to kill us. Yu Nikhang gazed at the departing figures of the four demonic beasts and solemnly said, "Yes, I will be careful, but if it really comes to a situation where I can't dodge, it won't be able to kill me." Yi Chunfeng used this 1 month to refine 2 formation talismans precisely to deal with the mysterious Turtle King. Let's go. I hope we have gained something in this 1 year. With that, Yi Chunfeng put away the sword puppet into his spatial pouch and quickly flapped his golden pung wings, flying toward the end of the desert at an extremely fast speed. Chunfeng, why is the periphery of this underwater cave so big? Yi Chunfeng took Yu Nikhang and quickly flew above the void for a day or so, but they still couldn't reach the end of the desert. This caused Yu Nikhang to reveal a thick expression of shock. The strength of the master of this cave is not to be underestimated. If my guess is correct, the periphery of this cave is formed from tens of thousands of formation talismans. With a God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng's knowledge was far beyond Yu Nichang's, so he easily saw through the truth of this desert space. This is the legendary mustard seed space. Yu Nikhang took a deep breath and said with astonishment, "Could the master of this cave be an emperor-level powerhouse?" The strength of a peerless king was already shocking enough, but an emperor-level powerhouse was at the top of the pyramid of the Duhan continent. With a wave of their hand, they could destroy mountains and cut off rivers. They were absolutely great characters that could shake the entire Duhan continent with a stomp of their feet. Yes, the master of this cave is very likely an emperor-level powerhouse. Moreover, he should be one of the best among them. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, "What kind of fortune would a peerless emperor leave behind here?" Yu Nichang's beautiful eyes shone with anticipation. "Oasis, there's an oasis in front. Let's go there and rest." Yi Chunfeng took Yu Nikhang and flew for more than 6 hours. They had already left the Black Turtle King and the others far behind. They saw a lush green oasis in the distance. It was filled with green trees and rippling water halos. They directly flew over. How beautiful! I never thought that there would be such a beautiful oasis in this desolate desert. Looking at the lush green grass, the tall ancient trees, and the rippling water of the lake, Yu Nichang's charming face revealed traces of joy. She immediately took off her little boots and walked barefooted into the lake. "Chunfeng, can I take a bath?" Feeling the cool and refreshing lake water, Yu Nikhang couldn't wait to wash off the blood on her body. "Okay, I'll go stand guard for you. Hurry up. I'm afraid it will be dangerous if you stay too long." Yi Chunfeng rubbed his nose and said helplessly, "Chunfeng, if you want to watch me take a bath, remember to tell me. Don't sneak a peek. It's not good for your body." Yu Nikhang threw a charming glance at Yi Chunfeng and boldly said, "I won't watch." Yi Chunfeng wryly smiled and turned around to leave the oasis, leaving behind Yu Nikhang, who was laughing wantonly. I wonder if the God-Eater brain can break the seal of this cave with its power? Feeling that the cave master's attainment in array patterns exceeded his imagination, Yi Chunfeng didn't have the confidence to break the seal and enter the cave. Time passed minute by minute. Just as Yi Chunfeng patiently waited for the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, Yu Nichang's frightened scream suddenly came from the oasis. "Something's wrong." Yi Chunfeng suddenly stood up. His keen perception detected a strong, killing intent in the deep lake of the oasis. Without hesitation, he summoned the golden rock wings and flew over at an extremely fast speed. When he flew to the oasis, he found that Moon Raiment, who was shrouded in mist, was fighting with a murloc that was covered in thick scales. It had fins beside its ears, a huge mouth, and a steel fork in its hand. Puppet. Yi Chenfeng used his powerful soul power to scan the strange fishman. He found that there was no vitality in its body. It was obvious that it was the same as the sword puppet, a puppet created by someone else. However, the sword puppet was not something that the fishman puppet in front of him could compare with in terms of strength and craftsmanship. The fishman puppet in front of him was at most equivalent to a peak level 2 mystic beast sect expert. Nick Hang, quickly go ashore and put on your clothes. Leave it to me. Yi Chenfeng warned and slapped his Chinquan bag. The gigantic fault heavenly sword that weighed over 5,000 kilograms flew out and pierced towards the fishman puppet at an extremely fast speed. The sword forced the fishman puppet to retreat. Gugu, facing the attack of Yi Chenfeng's gigantic fault heavenly sword, the fishman puppet let out an angry cry. It waved its steel trident and mobilized the power of the lake to attack Yi Chenfeng. Pillars of water soared into the sky like surging flood dragons and bombarded Yi Chenfeng's body. Profound frost spirit water, ice seal. Facing the concentrated attacks in the water, Yi Chenfeng immediately mobilized the power of the profound frost spirit water and froze the water pillars into icicles. Then, with the help of the titanic fault heavenly sword, he launched an attack on the merman puppet. Instant kill sword. The moment Yi Chenfeng slid in the air, his perfect sword force gushed out from his body and poured all of his strength into the gigantic fault heavenly sword. He activated the gigantic fault heavenly sword and shattered the steel trident in the fishman puppet's hand. He then slashed the fishman puppet's shoulder. What a tough body. The fishman puppet's shoulder was attacked by the gigantic fault heavenly sword. Only a small piece of its black scales was broken, and a small sword mark was left. After the shoulder was injured by Yi Chenfeng, a long fishtail flew out from the lake and whipped toward Yi Chenfeng at an extremely fast speed. When Yi Chenfeng held the gigantic fault heavenly sword and blocked the fishman puppet's tail attack, a strong electric current was sent out from the black scale tail and poured into Yi Chenfeng's body. The powerful electric current made his body go numb for a short while. Sword puppet. At this critical moment, Yi Chenfeng, who had a slow reaction, summoned the sword puppet and forced back the fishman puppet's tail attack. He then interweaved a large area of sword light and surrounded the fishman puppet. Under the fierce attack of the sword puppet, the fishman puppet was soon unable to hold on and was finally split open by the sword puppet. What is that? Demon crystal bone. After the fishman puppet's body was shattered, Yi Chenfeng unexpectedly found 2 pearl-sized demon crystal bones inside its body. They contain the power of thunder and demon chi. It seems like the demon crystal bones of the 3 merchant unions were obtained from killing these puppets. Yi Chenfeng waved his hand and released wisps of soul power. He received the 2 demon crystal bones and returned to the shore. Nick Hang, we will each take one of these 2 demon crystal bones. Let's refine them first and then go deeper into the desert. The threat of the Black Turtle King was too great, and this cave was full of strangeness. In order to further increase his strength, Yi Chenfeng decided to refine the demon crystal bones immediately and temper his own bones. Okay, Yu Nick Hang, who was neatly dressed, her jet black hair dripping with water droplets, and her body emitting a faint fragrance, nodded and said, "Let's go to the bottom of the lake." In order to avoid attracting the attention of the Black Turtle King, Black Demon, and the others, Yi Chenfeng chose to refine the demon crystal bones at the bottom of the lake. Once they reached the bottom of the lake, Yi Chenfeng had the sword puppet and Yu Nikhang protect him. Borrowing the power of the God Eater Brain, he slowly devoured the demon chi inside the demon crystal bones and refined them with Yu Nikhang. Roughly a day later, Yi Chenfeng and Yu Nikhang finished refining the demon crystal bones. With the help of this demon crystal bone that contained the power of thunder and lightning, Yi Chenfeng cultivated to 60% of the bone tempering realm. His physical strength rapidly increased, reaching nearly 400,000 gene. As for Yu Nikhang, she cultivated to 70% of the bone tempering realm, her physical strength reaching 150,000 gene. Let's go. With his physical strength greatly increased, Yi Chunfeng didn't delay any longer. He left the bone-chilling lake with Nick Hang, summoned the golden rock wings, and continued to fly towards the end of the desert. Chapter 2:12. What a powerful formation rune. This should be the formation rune restriction that isolates the inner mansion. Yi Chunfeng looked at the light curtain restriction in front of him and felt that the restriction was filled with powerful formation runes. The strength of these formation runes was completely beyond Yi Chunfeng's understanding. It could be said that the formation runes that formed this restriction were the most terrifying formation runes that Yi Chunfeng had ever seen. Nick Hang, sword puppet, protect me. I will try to crack this formation rune restriction. Yi Chunfeng instructed and sat cross-legged under the light curtain. He used the power of the God-Eater brain to surge into the restriction and try to crack it. Although the God-Eater brain was very powerful, Yi Chunfeng's realm was too low. The power of the God-Eater brain was very limited, so it was very difficult for him to crack this formation rune restriction. Fortunately, Yi Chunfeng had the golden rock wings, so he had left the mystic turtle king, Black Demon, and the others far behind him. Therefore, they would not disturb Yi Chunfeng for a short time. What a mysterious formation rune. That person has actually comprehended the formation rune to such an extent. Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to comprehend and deduce the formation rune. Even with the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng would not be able to crack this formation rune restriction in a short time. Days passed. Yi Chunfeng was like a statue. He sat cross-legged on the spot without moving, constantly using the God-Eater brain to crack the formation rune. On the fourth day, Black Demon, Sword Demon, and the others appeared. They really came here one step ahead of us. Sword Demon's turbid eyes shot out a sharp, murderous intent. He looked at Yi Chunfeng and the sword puppet who almost killed him and said coldly, "That Yi Chunfeng is not simple. Just as wings alone make him invincible," Black Demon said in a low voice. The experts of the Xianbi sect did not have the ability to fly. Only when they broke through to the reverse Beast King realm could they rely on the qualitative change of their spiritual beast to condense soul wings and have the ability to fly. Black Demon, should we try to kill him? If we work together, we might have a chance. The Sword Demon also coveted the treasures on Yi Chunfeng's body, especially the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword. It was a fatal temptation to him. Don't worry, now is not the time to kill him. Wait until we enter the inner palace. Black Demon shook his head. After witnessing Yi Chunfeng's endless methods, he had a feeling deep in his heart that Yi Chunfeng might be able to help him enter the inner palace and seek greater opportunities. Chunfeng, Black Devil, and the others are here. Nick Hang saw Black Devil and the other three coming from afar. Her heart tightened. She immediately woke up Yi Chunfeng, who was breaking the restrictions of the formation. Yi Chunfeng, don't be nervous. We mean you no harm. Black Demon looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was looking at him as if he was facing a great enemy, and revealed a friendly smile. He said, "Are you interested in working with me to break this restriction? Why? You have a way?" Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly and asked. After studying for about 4 days, Yi Chunfeng did not find any clues. So, even though he knew that Black Demon was up to no good, he still felt a little interested. "I brought an ancient formation, and I can control this ancient formation to attack the restriction, causing it to change. If your attainments and formation runes are deep enough, you might be able to reap unexpected benefits." The Black Devil told Yi Chunfeng the method without hiding anything. "We can try this method, but you have to swear by the heavenly Tao that you will not sneak attack me while I'm breaking the formation." Yi Chunfeng pondered for a moment and said, "No problem." The Black Demon nodded and made a vow to the heavenly Tao. "Good. Let's not delay. Let's begin." In order to enter the inner mansion, Yi Chunfeng chose to ask a tiger for its skin. He took a risk. Demon-killing formation, appear. A ring inlaid with a gem on Black Demon's finger suddenly emitted a large amount of black light. A large formation overflowing with demonic light emerged from the ring. Universe Ring. Seeing the gem ring on Black Demon's finger, Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. He did not expect Black Demon to have such a priceless an extremely rare universe ring. Demon Killing Formation Attack. After summoning the Demon Killing Formation, Black Demon immediately activated the large formation. Endless attacking black light gushed out from the Demon Killing Formation, emitting a hair-raising ghostly cry. It bombarded the light, curtain-like formation pattern restriction. Rumble. The restriction was attacked by the Demon Killing Formation and violently fluctuated. A powerful force gushed out from the restriction and dissolved the black light attack. The powerful force cracked the ground. God-Eater Brain, comprehend. Yi Chen-Feng ordered the sword puppet to be on guard against Sword Demon and the others at all times. While enduring the recoil, he released his soul power into the violently fluctuating restriction to comprehend the changes in the formation pattern. This method is indeed effective. The God-Eater Brain comprehended for more than 6 hours. Through the subtle changes in the formation pattern, it grasped a clue and began to slowly understand. Ayo. You humans are actually faster than this king. Lowly brat. Let's see where you can run today. Yi Chen-Feng had just found a clue to break the restriction when a rolling roar came from afar. The Black Tortoise King, who had transformed into its original form, stepped on the yellow sand and rushed over at an extremely fast speed. Black Tortoise King, don't hurt Yi Chen-Feng first. He might be able to help us enter the inner mansion. When the Black Tortoise King appeared, Black Demon, who was controlling the Demon Killing Formation, immediately transmitted a message to the Black Tortoise King. Under Black Demon's instructions, Sword Demon blocked in front of the Black Tortoise King, preventing it from approaching Yi Chen-Feng. What? That bastard really has this ability? The Black Tortoise King's round eyes stared at Yi Chen-Feng and asked with a look of disbelief. Give him a month. If he doesn't make any progress in a month, you and I will work together to kill him and divide the treasures on his body. Black Demon transmitted a message. All right, this king will let that brat live for another month. The Black Tortoise King nodded its huge head and transmitted a message. Yi Chen-Feng, don't worry. I have already resolved the grudge between you and the Black Tortoise King. You can break the restriction without worry. Black Demon looked at Yi Chen-Feng's serious face and said. Hearing Black Demon's words, Yi Chen-Feng's sharp eyes scanned the Black Tortoise King, who didn't approach him without permission. He closed his eyes and continued to control the God-Eater Brain to break the restriction. After another 3 days, Xing Yun, Xing Hun, and Gu Tianxing appeared together. When the three of them discovered that the curtain-like restriction was moving slowly and formed an extremely slow whirlpool in the center of the restriction, they looked as if they had seen a ghost. Could Yi Chen-Feng really be able to break the restriction of the inner mansion? Xing Yun, Gu Tianxing, and the others looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Time flew by quickly, and 10 days passed in a flash. On the 20th day of Yi Chen-Feng's comprehension of the formation runes, a crisscrossing formation runes appeared in the God-Eater Brain. The patterns and structure of these formation runes were exactly the same as the ones in the inner mansion. Under Black Demon's control, Yi Chen-Feng finally understood the formation runes. He could reverse the formation runes at any time and enter the inner mansion. Nick Hang, pretend to wipe my sweat and come to my side. Yi Chen-Feng transmitted a message to Yu Nick-Hang. After receiving Yi Chen-Feng's message, Yu Nichang's heart trembled. She took out a fragrant handkerchief from her Cosmos bag and walked to Yi Chen-Feng's side. She seemed to be intimately wiping the sweat on Yi Chen-Feng's forehead. However, her intimate action didn't attract much attention. Chapter 213. Oh no, we've been fooled by that kid. Seeing Yi Chen-Feng take Yu Nick-Hang into the restriction and disappear, Hey Mo, Black Turtle King, and the others were so angry that their lungs exploded. They attacked the energy ripples of the restriction. Because this restriction was forcibly changed by Yi Chen-Feng, it became fragile in a short time. Black Turtle King and the others attacked fiercely, constantly destroying the formation and tearing the restriction bit by bit. Phew, finally in. After smoothly entering the inner mansion, Yi Chen-Feng breathed a sigh of relief and looked around the environment. What a beautiful place! Yi Chen-Feng had seen a lot of fairyland-like scenery, But when he first entered the inner mansion, he was still disappointed by the beautiful scenery in front of him. A vast sea of clouds flowed slowly between the immortal mountains. Numerous ancient trees were covered with mouth-watering fruits. Countless spirit springs gushed out from underground. The spiritual energy in the air made people feel relaxed and happy just by inhaling it. How can the scenery in the inner mansion be so beautiful? Looking at the dreamlike scenery in front of her, Hang exclaimed. Her eyes were full of intoxication. Let's go, Changfeng. Let's go to the inner mansion to find opportunities. After entering the inner mansion, which was like a paradise, Hang couldn't wait to find her own opportunity. Wait, Hang, don't move. Just when Hang wanted to run over and pick a bright red fruit to quench her thirst, Feng suddenly reached out and grabbed her. What's wrong, Qingfeng? Is there danger here? Seeing Feng's face suddenly become serious, Hang immediately stopped and asked softly, "What we see is not real. If I'm not wrong, the beautiful scenery in front of us is the illusion of the formation. There is danger here." Feng looked at the beautiful scenery in front of him like lightning and released the power of the God-Eater brain. Sword Puppet, attack the 100-meter-tall tree in the northwest. Feng's gaze locked onto a 100-meter-tall tree in the northwest. It was a giant tree with luxuriant foliage that looked like a pillar that supported the heavens. He gave the sword puppet an order. So, when the sword puppet approached the 100-meter-tall tree with its titanic false celestial sword, bolts of lightning descended from the heavens without any warning, bombarding the sword puppet's body with extreme speed. As expected, there is danger here. Chang's expression changed slightly as she watched the continuous lightning strikes. If Feng had not stopped her in time, she would have been seriously injured by the sudden lightning strikes. Withstanding the thunderous attacks from the ninth heaven, the sword spirit puppet approached the 100-meter-long giant tree at an extremely fast speed and launched a fierce attack at it. The crescent-shaped sword shadows kept attacking the giant tree. The sharp sword light took away all the brilliance in the surroundings. The violent fluctuations in the air kept producing the sound of cloth being torn. After a round of fierce attacks, the 100-meter-tall giant tree was reduced to dust and scattered in the air. Then, the picturesque space suddenly shattered like broken glass, and a slowly moving ancient formation shrouded over their heads. As expected, the scenery just now was the illusion of the formation. Looking at the ancient formation in front of him, which was emitting a simple and austere aura, Feng's expression became even more serious. This was because he sensed a strong, killing intent from this ancient formation. Sword Puppet, help us open a path. Hang, you stand in the middle. I'll cover the rear. Let's go. With that, Feng and the other two lined up and rushed into the ancient formation that was filled with intense killing intent. The moment Feng and the other two walked into the ancient formation was activated. A powerful pressure surged from the sky like a towering mountain and pressed down on the three of them. Facing this pressure, the sword puppet's energy was constantly depleted. Feng and Hang quickly circulated their 6-meridian divine shield to increase their physical strength. They withstood the pressure and walked step by step towards the end of the ancient formation. Roar! Roar! Feng and the other two withstood the huge pressure and slowly moved forward. A large amount of thunder surged from all directions and gathered into 3 10-meter-long thunder flood dragons with a single horn on their heads that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They launched an attack at them. Facing the 3 thunder flood dragons' attack, the sword puppet didn't dodge at all. While withstanding the attacks of the thunder flood dragons, it used the gigantic fault heavenly sword to counterattack and damage the thunder flood dragons' bodies. Roar! While the sword puppet was fighting against the 3 thunder flood dragons by itself, another 2 terrifying thunder flood dragons appeared and attacked Feng from behind. Facing the sudden attack, a loud dragon roar resounded from Feng's body. A terrifying blood dragon phantom appeared behind him and increased his soul power. Collapsing cloud palm. Fusing with the blood dragon's power, Yi Chunfeng poured 400,000 gene of strength into his right palm and launched a collapsing cloud palm at the two blood dragon seals. It bombarded the head of a thunder flood dragon that was close to him. Rumble, deafening thunder resounded. The huge thunder flood dragon was pushed back by Yi Chunfeng's 400,000 gene of strength and the collapsing cloud palm. Yu Nichang's attack with the Aquamoon Everlasting Sword also forcefully resisted the last Thunder Flood Dragon's attack. Don't continue fighting. Full speed ahead. Although Yi Chunfeng's group resisted the Thunder Flood Dragon's attack with their attacks, the Thunder Flood Dragons were unkillable in this ancient formation. Realizing this problem, Yi Chunfeng's group continued to move forward while enduring the immense pressure and the Thunder Flood Dragon's attacks. As they went deeper, the number of Thunder Flood Dragons in the ancient formation increased. The pressure on Yi Chunfeng's group increased. In the end, dozens of murderous Thunder Flood Dragons completely sealed off their path, preventing them from moving forward. Nick Hang, are you alright? Yi Chunfeng looked at Yu Nick Hang, who was panting and exhausted, and asked with concern. Although Yu Nichang's cultivation was much higher than Yi Chunfeng's, Yi Chunfeng had the primal chaos divine wood. His resistance to lightning was extremely high. In addition to his extraordinary physical strength, his consumption was much less than Yu Nichang's. Don't worry about me. I can still hold on. Yu Nichang took a deep breath and replied. However, the attacks of dozens of thunder flood dragons were too terrifying. The overwhelming attacks completely enveloped them. Life Spirit Technique. The situation was urgent. Yi Chunfeng knew that he could no longer hide his strength. He instantly burned 50 years of his life force. A large amount of life force erupted in his body, rapidly increasing his cultivation level. In an instant, Yi Chunfeng's cultivation level rose from level 4 Celestial Beast Immortal to level 3 Celestial Beast Grandmaster. The blood dragon's roar resounded through the sky. Sword Puppet, attack with all your might. After using the Life Spirit Technique to increase his cultivation level by 5 minor realms, Yi Chunfeng's strength had reached an extremely terrifying level. He roared and attacked together with the Sword Puppet, attacking the dozens of Thunder Flood Dragons that were blocking their path. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Frost. The terrifying power of the Great Path quickly evolved. The Extreme Frost Sword aura was like a meteor falling to the mortal world. It froze the void and annihilated the lightning released by the dozens of Thunder Flood Dragons. At this time, the Sword Puppet burned the power of 50,000 mid-grade soul crystals. Its entire body merged with the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword, turning into a giant sword that cut through the void. It slashed forward with shocking destructive power. Nick Hang, let's go. The moment the Sword Puppet turned into a sword and attacked with all its might, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Golden Rock Wings. He hugged the exhausted and panting Yu Nick Hang in his arms and broke out of the ancient array at an extremely fast speed. Chapter 214. Sword Puppet. Continue to burn mid-grade soul crystals and attack with all your might. Sensing that the Sword Puppet had burned 50,000 mid-grade soul crystals and was about to run out of energy, Yi Chunfeng ordered it to burn mid-grade soul crystals at all costs and attack with unstoppable momentum. As the Sword Spirit Puppet continuously burned mid-grade soul crystals to attack, the lightning flood dragons that tried to block its path were all slashed apart. A large number of thunderous booms rang out in the ancient formation, causing Yi Chunfeng and the Sword Spirit Puppet's souls to tremble. A large amount of blood flowed out of their 7 orifices. After about half an hour, Yi Chunfeng and the other two had torn apart dozens of thunder dragons that tried to stop them and appeared at the edge of the ancient array. Rumble. With a powerful aftershock, the Sword Puppet slashed at the light barrier at the edge of the ancient array with all its might. A large number of cracks appeared on the barrier's surface and quickly spread in all directions. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Cold. Yi Chunfeng saw that the Sword Puppet's all-out attack had failed to break through the light barrier. The golden rock flapped its wings violently, withstanding the terrifying spatial pressure, and flew into the air. It charged at the cracked light barrier and slashed out a sword light of the Great Tao. Boom! The extreme cold sword light formed from the power of the great Tao, tore through the gravitational space, and tore apart a thunder dragon that was whizzing towards it. Let's go. The restriction light screen was broken. The golden rock's wings flapped violently. He swooped down and appeared beside Yunishang, holding her in his arms. Together with the sword spirit puppet, they passed through the restriction light screen that was quickly closing up. They successfully flew out of this ancient formation that was filled with killing intent and entered a simple and ancient hall. Huff, huff, we finally made it out. After narrowly passing through the ancient array, Yi Chunfeng gasped for breath. He still had lingering fears from what he had just experienced. However, in order to break out of the ancient array, the sword puppet had consumed nearly 200,000 mid-grade soul crystals. Yi Chunfeng had also burned 50 years of his lifespan. This consumption was beyond Yi Chunfeng's expectations. I originally thought that nearly 1 million mid-grade soul crystals would be enough to support the sword puppet's consumption. But now that we've just entered the inner mansion, we've consumed nearly 400,000 mid-grade soul crystals. If this situation continues, I'll soon run out of mid-grade soul crystals. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself in distress as he fused another 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals into the sword puppet's body. Nick Hang, let's keep going. Yi Chunfeng guessed that the inner mansion's restrictions might not be able to stop the Black Turtle King. In order to prevent them from catching up, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang each drank a small mouthful of heavenly fate water. They instantly recovered their consumed soul force and walked into a long corridor. And on the walls on both sides of this corridor, huge ancient totem paintings were hung. These ancient paintings depicted flood dragons soaring into the sky, thousands of Yao attacking a city, a great battle between humans and Yao, a bloody massacre for thousands of miles. As they walked, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang felt as if their souls were being sucked away by these ancient paintings. It was as if they were personally experiencing the scenes in these ancient paintings. Slowly, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang walked slower and slower. More and more white appeared in their eyes as they lost themselves. But the moment Yi Chunfeng's soul was lost, the God-Eater brain released a powerful swallowing power. It swallowed the illusions that were eroding his soul and woke him up. Nikhang, wake up quickly. Yi Chunfeng suddenly woke up. He discovered that Yu Nichang's pupils had disappeared and her eyes were completely white. Her breathing was chaotic and she was restless. She felt as if she was possessed. He immediately let out a deafening roar and woke her up from the illusions. What's wrong? What's wrong with me? After waking up, Yu Nikhang felt an intense, killing intent in her heart. She had an impulse to kill someone. She quickly looked at Yi Chunfeng and asked in alarm. Yi Chunfeng used the God-Eater brain's power to sense the strangeness of these ancient paintings. He whispered, "There's something wrong with these ancient paintings. They can make our souls lose themselves and make us lose ourselves." Yi Chunfeng said, "Nikhang, close your eyes and don't look at these ancient paintings. This way, the illusions will have less effect on you. I'll take you away from here." Okay. Yu Nikhang nodded obediently and closed her eyes. She allowed Yi Chunfeng to hold her soft little hand and lead her to the end of this winding corridor. As they went deeper, the illusions produced by the ancient paintings became stronger and stronger. A large number of illusory scenes appeared before Yi Chunfeng's eyes, trying to lose his soul. However, with the God-Eater brain's power, Yi Chunfeng saw through the nature of these illusions. He held Yu Nichang's little hand and quickly walked to the end of the corridor. Around 2 hours later, Yi Chunfeng and the other two walked through a corridor that was hundreds of thousands of meters long. When they reached the end of the corridor, they discovered that at the end of the corridor, there were two statues with their eyes closed. They wore golden armor and held dragon-headed swords. They were mighty and unyielding. What a powerful soul fluctuation. Yi Chunfeng's powerful soul perception sensed the intense soul energy fluctuations from these two statues. He immediately became alert and ordered the sword puppet to protect Yu Nikhang, who had her eyes closed and a painful expression on her face as she struggled to resist the illusions. He then walked over alone. Wang, when Yi Chenfeng was 3 meters away from these two statues, they suddenly opened their eyes. A powerful soul energy surged out and instantly transformed into two soul war gods holding dragon-headed swords. They slashed at Yi Chenfeng. Blood Dragon Fuse, suddenly attacked by two soul war gods. A powerful dragon's roar resounded in Yi Chenfeng's body. Endless red light gushed out and instantly condensed into a several 100-meter-long blood dragon. 400,000 gene of strength slash. The moment he fused with the blood dragon, Yi Chenfeng burst out with 400,000 gene of strength. He held the gigantic fault heavenly sword and clashed with the two soul war gods. Although the two soul war gods' attack power was terrifying, their defense was extremely weak as they had soul bodies. Yi Chenfeng used the shifting phantom and created 9 afterimages. He dodged the attacks while waiting for an opportunity to attack their bodies. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Cold. Yi Chenfeng fought fiercely with the two soul gods of war for the time it took for a stick of incense to burn. Suddenly, he found the best opportunity to attack. His perfect sword aura surged out of his body, and the power of deduction of the great Tao transformed into an extremely cold sword ray. He attacked the two soul gods of war whose bodies were overlapping. Tisk tisk. After facing the extreme cold sword light head-on, the two soul war gods' bodies exploded and turned into soul energy that filled the sky. However, at the next moment, the soul energy that filled the void surged and rushed into Yi Chenfeng's soul. It wanted to tear his soul apart. God-Eater Brain, devour. However, Yi Chenfeng was prepared. The moment the river-like soul energy rushed into his soul, he immediately controlled the God-Eater Brain to devour it. A devouring whirlpool formed in Yi Chenfeng's mind and devoured the soul energy of the two soul war gods. Crack! After the soul energy was devoured, the two statues immediately shattered. The door at the end of the corridor opened automatically. An ancient and turbid aura rushed into the corridor. Let's go. Yi Chenfeng hugged Yu Nikhang in his arms. He and the sword puppet rushed out of the corridor that was filled with illusions. They entered the inner hall that was filled with dense spiritual energy and many statues. Chapter 215. How many years has it been? Finally, someone has entered this place. When Yi Chenfeng walked into the inner hall, hundreds of statues opened their eyes at the same time. Then, a powerful soul force appeared above the inner hall, converging into an old face. Senior, are you the dwelling spirit of this underwater cave? Looking at the old face in front of him, Yi Chenfeng immediately guessed that it was very likely the dwelling spirit of this underwater cave. Yes, I am the dwelling spirit of this underwater cave. The old face said in a deep voice, if you can pass the various tests here, you can obtain the inheritance of this cave. If you choose to give up, I will also give you some benefits. After all, you're the first humans to reach this place. Senior, what benefits will you give me if we choose to give up? Yu Nikhang didn't want to be a burden to Yi Chenfeng. She bit her alluring red lips and looked at the old face as she asked. A mass of sea heart essence that can increase one's cultivation and a demon crystal bone. The old face said. Okay, Junior chooses to give up. Yu Nikhang said without hesitation. Nikhang, didn't we agree to enter the underwater cave together? Why did you suddenly give up? Don't you want the opportunities here? Yi Chenfeng didn't expect Yu Nikhang to give up and quickly asked. Chenfeng, I am already very satisfied to be able to reach this place and obtain the sea heart essence and demon crystal bone. I will wait here for you. I will wait for you to return with a full load. Yu Nikhang looked at Yi Chenfeng with a gentle gaze and said softly. Okay, Chenfeng, I have made up my mind. You don't need to persuade me. Yu Nikhang gently extended a finger and pressed it on Yi Chenfeng's lips. She gently shook her head and said. Yi Chenfeng knew why Yu Nikhang chose to give up and was worried about her safety. So he asked, Senior Man or Spirit, if my friend chooses to give up and wait here, can you protect her? I'm afraid that the enemies behind her will do something to her. As long as she doesn't leave this place, I will naturally protect her safety. However, if she leaves on her own accord, then I can't do anything about it. the old face said with a deep voice. Thank you, Senior. Hearing the mansion spirit's promise, Yi Chunfeng was relieved. He looked at Yu Nichong's charming face and said, Nick Hang, since you've made up your mind, then wait for me here. If I get the opportunity to enter the Immortal's Cave, I'll give you a share. Chunfeng, be careful. I'll wait for you. Yu Nichang nodded. Suddenly, she stood on her tiptoes and gently kissed Yi Chunfeng on the cheek. Yi Chunfeng looked at Yu Nichong's watery eyes and nodded heavily. Junior, have you decided to continue with the test? If you fail the test, you may very well lose your life. Furthermore, the ultimate inheritance left behind by Master is not easy to obtain. However, you have your own advantages. That is, your bone age is very young, so the difficulty will be relatively lower. The mansion spirit looked at Yi Chunfeng's determined eyes and reminded him, I have already decided. I will continue to take the test. Yi Chunfeng nodded his head and said firmly, Good. There are 3 paths in this inner hall. They are the path of thorns, the path of ice and snow, and the path of earth. Choose one and continue forward, the mansion spirit said. Junior chooses the path of ice and snow. With the profound frost spirit water, Yi Chunfeng's resistance to water attribute energy was stronger, so he said without hesitation, All right, you may continue forward. However, on the path of ice and snow, you can only rely on yourself. This clone of yours cannot help you, the mansion spirit said. Junior understands. Nick Hang, I'm leaving. Be good and wait for me here. After saying that, Yi Chunfeng put the sword puppet into his Chinkoan pouch. He transformed into an afterimage and rushed into the path of ice and snow with extreme speed. Senior, do you think Chunfeng has a chance to obtain the cave mansion's inheritance? Yu Nichang asked worriedly as she watched Yi Chunfeng leave. Although his talent is not bad, his chance of obtaining the cave mansion's inheritance is only 1%. The mansion spirit said in a deep voice. 1%? So low. Yu Nichang's expression changed. She quickly asked, What will happen if he fails? With his strength, once he fails the test, there is almost no chance of survival. However, you will have at least 2 chances to give up later on, so there is still hope for him to survive, the mansion spirit said without a trace of emotion. All right, this is the Sea Heart Essence and the Magic Crystal Bone are my rewards for you. You can choose to refine them here or take them away. After saying that, the mansion spirit opened its huge mouth. A mass of water blue, very viscous Sea Heart Essence and a pitch-black, fist-sized magic crystal bone flew out and landed on Yu Nichang's hand. This magic crystal bone is so big. Seeing the magic crystal bone in front of her, Yu Nichang revealed a deep shock because this magic crystal bone was several times bigger than what Yi Chunfeng had given her. Moreover, Yu Nichang did not feel any demonic chi from this magic crystal bone. Clearly, the mansion spirit had helped her refine the demonic chi contained in the magic crystal bone, so she could refine it without worry. Junior chooses to refine it here. Yu Nichang took a deep breath and decided to refine the Sea Heart Essence and the magic crystal bone to increase her realm and strength. This way, she would be able to help Yi Chunfeng. All right, you can rest assured and cultivate here. No one can disturb you here. When the 1 year is up, I will send you away. After saying that, the mansion spirit spat out a mass of light mist, which enveloped Yu Nichang's body. Rumble. Just as Yu Nichang was circulating the soul mantra and absorbing the Sea Heart Essence bit by bit, a deafening explosion rang out. The strongest black tortoise monarch smashed open the door at the end of the hallway and entered the inner hall. He immediately saw Yu Nichang bathed in the light mist. Roar! Tell this king, where did that bastard go? The black tortoise monarch walked with heavy steps and appeared in front of Yu Nichang. He let out a ferocious roar and loudly questioned. Hearing the black tortoise monarch's question, Yu Nichang ignored him and continued to absorb the Sea Heart Essence to increase her strength. Mother asterisk her, are you deaf? This king is asking you a question. The black tortoise monarch saw that Yu Nichang was ignoring him and became angry. He held a heavy axe that weighed 10,000 jin and chopped towards the light curtain that enveloped Yu Nichang's body. Little tortoise, don't be impudent. At this moment, the mansion's spirit appeared. A powerful pressure enveloped the black tortoise monarch and forcibly suppressed his body, making him unable to move. Who are you? The black tortoise monarch exploded with a force of 1,000,000 gene, but he was unable to shake the pressure released by the mansion spirit. His heart trembled, and he became a lot more obedient. I am a mansion spirit of this cave. Little tortoise, you have two choices now. Either you continue to move forward, or you choose to give up like her. If you choose to give up, I can give you some benefits. The mansion's spirit intimidated the black tortoise monarch and asked in a deep voice, I choose to move forward. Hearing the mansion's spirit call him a little tortoise, the black tortoise monarch was furious. However, the mansion spirit gave him too much deterrence, so he did not dare to be impudent. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said, just as the black tortoise monarch entered the path of thorns, black demon, sword demon, snake demon, eight-eyed toad, Xing Yun, and lonely Tianxing appeared one after another in the inner palace. As for the other people from the four forces, they had all lost themselves in the hallway of illusion and killed each other. In the end, the cowardly Xing Yun and lonely Tianxing chose to give up and only obtain the sea heart essence. Chapter 216. It's so cold. If my physical strength wasn't strong enough, I would have been frostbitten by the temperature here. Stepping onto the road of ice and snow, Yi Chunfeng could clearly feel that the temperature around him was dropping rapidly. The terrifying cold air was constantly eroding his body, trying to freeze him. Chaos Divine would devour. A large amount of cold air invaded his body. While Yi Chunfeng controlled the Chaos Divine wood to devour it, he released the profound frost spirit water to cover his body and resist the cold air on the road of ice and snow. With the protection of the profound frost spirit water, Yi Chunfeng's pressure was greatly reduced. He summoned the golden rock wings and flew towards the end of the road of ice and snow at an extremely fast speed. Yi Chunfeng flew for more than 2 hours and found a huge glacier in front of him. With his keen perception, he felt a strong sense of danger in this glacier that was dozens of miles long. Clearly, there was an unknown danger in this glacier that blocked his way. What's in this glacier? Yi Chunfeng flapped his golden rock wings and carefully approached the huge glacier. When he appeared 10 meters away from the glacier, a deafening explosion sounded. Cracks that were thousands of meters long appeared on the surface of the glacier. A giant hand that seemed to be condensed from ice covered the sky and covered the sun and rushed towards Yi Chunfeng. 400,000 pounds of strength explode. Suddenly facing the attack of the ice hand, Yi Chunfeng decisively took out the titanic fault heavenly sword and merged it with the power of his spirit beast, the blood dragon. He raised his strength to the peak and flapped his golden rock wings to meet the attack. Wind shadow slash. Perfect sword aura burst out. Yi Chunfeng, who was flying at high speed, slashed with the titanic fault heavenly sword. The sword aura that was full of power and sword aura was like a crescent moon that cut through the sky and slashed at the ice hand. Crack! After facing Yi Chunfeng's full strength attack, cracks appeared on the surface of the ice hand. Yi Chunfeng's wind shadow slash was also shattered by the ice hand. After shattering the wind shadow slash, a large hand of ice covered with cracks descended from the sky with a powerful pressure, heading straight for Yi Chunfeng. 7 swords of judgment, extreme cold. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath. His perfect sword form began to derive the power of the great Tao. He struck out with the strongest attack that he currently possessed. The sword that was filled with the power of the great Tao pierced through the ice hand that covered an area of nearly 1 mile. Yes, this is a magic crystal bone. Yi Chunfeng's 7 swords of judgment pierced through the ice hand, and a magic crystal bone the size of a goose egg fell out from the broken ice hand. Yi Chunfeng then put it into his cosmos bag. After obtaining a magic crystal bone, Yi Chunfeng didn't slow down. His golden rock wings flashed violently, stirring up gusts of cold wind. He passed through the shattered glacier and continued on his way. While Yi Chunfeng was traversing the path of ice and snow, the Black Turtle King, Snake Demon King, black demon, and the others were also being tested. However, their bone ages were much older than Yi Qinfeng's, so their tests were much more difficult than Yi Qinfeng's. Instant kill sword. An extremely thin sword shadow streaked across the sky. Yi Qinfeng wielded the titanic sword and slashed through the ice sculpture's body. The sixth magic crystal bone. I wonder if the sword puppet can fuse with these magic crystal bones? Relying on his absolute attack power to shatter the ice sculpture, Yi Qinfeng obtained another magic crystal bone the size of a goose egg. Including this one, Yi Qinfeng now had 6 magic crystal bones. He was preparing to use them to replace mid-grade soul crystals and make energy stones for the sword puppet. Days passed. Yi Qinfeng tirelessly killed on the path of ice and snow for 6 days, obtaining 18 magic crystal bones. After 6 days of bloody battles, Yi Qinfeng felt that his cultivation foundation had become more solid. If it wasn't for the dangers of the path of ice and snow, he would have wanted to refine a magic crystal bone and break through to the level 5 heavenly beast immortal realm. After another 2 days, Yi Qinfeng finally reached the end of the path of ice and snow. The number of magic crystal bones in his body had reached 26. A mirror. Why is there a mirror at the end of the path of ice and snow? Yi Qinfeng was at the end of the path of ice and snow. He didn't find the way out, but he found a mirror. He revealed a surprised expression. Could it be that I have to break this mirror to leave this path of ice and snow? Yi Qinfeng muttered to himself. Wielding the titanic sword, he approached the strange mirror. Before he could attack the mirror, an illusory light was projected from the mirror. It shone on his body and penetrated his soul. He was reflected in the mirror. In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng's mirror image walked out of the mirror. He was also holding the titanic sword in his hand. Defeat me, and you can move on. The loser will die. The mirror image spoke in the same voice as Yi Qinfeng. He pointed the titanic sword at Yi Qinfeng and said with a murderous intent, "Interesting. The test of this path of ice and snow is really interesting." Yi Qinfeng looked at the mirror image that was pointing the sword at him. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly. He revealed a faint smile and said with a high fighting spirit, "Roar!" A deafening dragon roar sounded. A blood dragon that was hundreds of meters long emerged from Yi Qinfeng's body. Its powerful dragon aura made people shudder. The moment Yi Qinfeng summoned the blood dragon, a blood dragon also emerged from the mirror image. It circled in the air and roared at Yi Qinfeng. What? When Yi Qinfeng saw that his mirror image had actually summoned a spirit beast that looked exactly like him, a look of shock appeared on his cold face. Could it be that this mirror image has all of my abilities? I can only defeat him if I surpass myself. Yi Qinfeng finally understood the true difficulty of the path of ice and snow. Defeating the enemy wasn't scary. Defeating oneself was scary. All right, I want to see who is more powerful. Yi Qinfeng calmed himself down and shouted. The blood dragon that was hundreds of meters long entered his body and instantly increased his soul power. Instant kill. His soul power surged. Yi Qinfeng wielded the titanic sword and formed an extremely thin sword shadow. He stabbed it at the mirror image's throat. Yi Qinfeng used the instant kill to attack. The mirror image did the exact same thing as Yi Qinfeng. It merged with the blood dragon and used the instant kill to counter the attack. The two sword shadows that were faster than the speed of light collided. Instantly, dense energy halos surged and fluctuated violently. 400,000 kilograms of strength explode. The moment the two sword tips collided, Yi Qinfeng's powerful physical strength exploded. It was like a surging tide that surged into the titanic sword. He wanted to rely on his absolute strength to suppress the mirror image. Gotcha! After being attacked by Yi Qinfeng's 400,000 kilograms of strength, the mirror image couldn't withstand this powerful force. It took a step back uncontrollably and crushed the hard ice road. But in the next moment, the mirror image's arm muscles tightened. It also exploded with 400,000 kilograms of strength and instantly resisted Yi Qinfeng's powerful attack. Shifting Phantom. Relying on absolute strength, Yi Qinfeng didn't gain any advantage. He He immediately changed his tactic. He used shifting phantom and instantly formed 9 fast afterimages that surrounded the mirror image. He wanted to rely on his rich combat experience to suppress the mirror image. But the mirror image was more difficult to deal with than he imagined. After exchanging blows, he realized that the mirror image's combat experience was no weaker than his. More importantly, the mirror image didn't feel tired at all in the fierce battle. It was a great threat to Yi Chenfeng. Chapter 217. Swish, swish, swish. A series of ear-piercing sounds rang out as the mirror image continued to unleash the instant kill. The lightning-fast sword radiance swept up a boundless sword aura as it continuously attacked Yi Chenfeng's body, forcing him to retreat continuously. The blood and qi in his body churned violently as a stream of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Perfect sword aura, for 100,000 strength, break for me. In an absolutely disadvantageous situation, Yi Chenfeng roared as the world-shaking perfect sword aura and 400,000 pounds of strength were all infused into the gigantic heavenly sword, activating its attacking power and thrusting it towards the incoming instant kill. Wong. As the two powerful attacks clashed together, a series of explosive sounds rang out. A terrifying force passed through the gigantic heavenly sword and rushed into Yi Chenfeng's arm, causing the skin on his arm to crack. A large amount of blood flowed out uncontrollably, dyeing his arm red. "You are not a match for me. You had better give up early and let me send you to the next world," the mirror image said arrogantly as it looked at the pale Yi Chenfeng, whose arm was bleeding profusely. "I will not give up until the very last moment." Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and suppressed the injuries on his body. He held the heavy, gigantic heavenly sword tightly and said with a resolute tone, at the moment when his body was injured, Yi Chenfeng wanted to use the Shadow Golden Needle Talisman to directly attack the mirror image's soul and turn the situation around. However, he gave up in the end. If I cannot even defeat myself, then how can I pursue the Supreme Tao? How can I reach the peak of the martial Tao? Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath as he clenched his fists and reignited his fighting spirit. Interesting. I want to see how long you can last. Looking at Yi Chenfeng's eyes that were burning with fighting spirit, the mirror image smiled coldly and continued to attack Yi Chenfeng with the gigantic heavenly sword. Perfect sword aura chop. Looking at the mirror image that was brimming with killing intent, Yi Chenfeng, who had reignited his fighting spirit, once again clashed with the mirror image. Rumble. As the two of them fought fiercely, waves of destructive qi waves rolled out in all directions. The terrifying power shook the ground of the ice and snow road, causing it to tremble violently. Flowing cloud pierce. Wind shadow slash. Instant kill. In order to injure the mirror image, Yi Chenfeng spared no effort to perform the sword skill of annihilation over and over again. His attacks flowed smoothly like water, gradually turning the tables around. Good chance. When Yi Chenfeng unleashed a force of 400,000 jin and clashed head-on with the mirror image's attack and forced it back, the mirror image revealed a rare opening. Yi Chenfeng did not waste this rare opportunity. His entire body turned into an extremely thin sword shadow. The sword cut through the cold air and stabbed towards the mirror image's chest. Chi! A piercing fiery light lit up on the mirror image's chest. When Yi Chenfeng executed the instant kill, the sword image did not pierce through the mirror image's body. It only left a long sword wound on the mirror image's chest. Not a single drop of blood flowed out. What? There's a problem with the mirror image's body? This test is not fair. Yi Chenfeng did not expect the mirror image's body to be so tough. His full-powered attack with the titanic fault heavenly sword was actually unable to harm it. This made Yi Chenfeng's heart fall to the bottom. I already said that you cannot defeat me. You had better give up obediently. Don't put up a pointless struggle, the mirror image said arrogantly as it looked at the gloomy and panting Yi Chenfeng. I also told you, I won't give up until the last moment. Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and cleared his mind of all distracting thoughts. He looked at the mirror image with a burning gaze and once again unleashed a powerful force to attack it. Profound frost spirit water. When he was 3 meters away from the mirror image, Yi Chen-feng released the profound frost spirit water that gushed out of his body and froze the mirror image. Gotcha! The mirror image was attacked by the profound frost spirit water, and its body immediately condensed into a thick layer of ice. Its entire body was frozen. Collapsing cloud palm. Yi Chen-feng roared. 400,000 gene of strength gushed out of his palm and pressed towards the mirror image that was frozen by the profound frost spirit water. The powerful palm shattered the ice and fiercely pressed against the mirror image's chest. The collapsing cloud palm that was filled with 400,000 gene of strength was enough to shatter a mountain. However, when it hit the mirror image's body, it was only able to push it back 3 steps. It was still unable to injure its body and make it bleed. The mirror image stabilized its body and stepped on form displacement phantom. It transformed into several afterimages and approached Yi Chen-feng at an extremely fast speed. Profound frost spirit water. When Yi Chen-feng erupted with 400,000 gene of strength and wanted to force it back, the mirror image released a bone-chilling cold chi that froze Yi Chen-feng's body. Not good. Yi Chen-feng didn't think that the mirror image would be able to replicate the power of the profound frost spirit water. His heart trembled, and he quickly erupted with a powerful physical strength, wanting to shatter the ice on his body. However, at this moment, the mirror image completely replicated his earlier attack. The palm strike, which was filled with 400,000 gene of force, shattered the ice and landed on his chest, sending him flying. His entire chest sunk deep into his body, and a large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth. If Yi Chen-feng hadn't cultivated to 60% of the bone-forging realm and his physical defense hadn't greatly increased, then this palm would have been enough to blow apart his body and kill him on the spot. Damn, how can I defeat this mirror image? Yi Chen-feng clutched his sunken chest and crawled up from the ground with difficulty. Looking at the mirror image walking over with heavy steps, despair appeared in his heart for the first time. It could be said that in order to defeat the mirror image, Yi Chen-feng had used all of his abilities, but he was still unable to heavily injure the mirror image. His heart sank to rock bottom. It's over. You could die now. The mirror image held the titanic fault heavenly sword and walked over to Yi Chen-feng, whose confidence had been shaken. Killing intent filled his eyes. After saying this, a terrifying sword light cut through the void, cutting down on Yi Chen-feng. It wanted to cut his body in half and end his life. At the critical moment, Yi Chen-feng summoned his golden peng wings. With a fierce flash, he raised a hurricane and narrowly dodged the mirror image's sure-kill attack. He flew into the air. Do you think you're the only one with monster beast wings? The mirror image glanced emotionlessly at Yi Chen-feng, who had fled into the air. It condensed a pair of wings that looked exactly like the golden rock's wings. With a violent flap, it flew into the air. Looking at the rapidly approaching mirror image condensed golden peng wings, Yi Chen-feng despaired. Damn, this mirror image can copy all of my abilities. Is he really undefeatable? He already didn't know how to defeat the mirror image. It's over. Just as Yi Chen-feng's mind was shaken and his will to fight was shaken, the mirror image rapidly flapped its golden peng wings, turning into a dark golden blur that approached Yi Chen-feng. In the next moment, a waterfall-like sword light slashed down from the void. It cut through the air and ruthlessly slashed at the heavily injured and slow dodging Yi Chen-feng. Boom! Yi Chen-feng was unable to dodge in time. He was struck by the space-tearing sword light. His entire body was like a kite with its string cut. He crashed heavily into the ground, creating a large crater. Large amounts of blood uncontrollably spurted out from his body. Is it over? Am I really going to die here? Chapter 218. I told you long ago that I am undefeatable. You should just obediently admit defeat, the mirror image said arrogantly as it looked down at Yi Chen-feng. No, I haven't lost yet. Even if I only have 1 drop of blood left, I won't admit defeat. The mirror image's arrogance stirred up Yi Chen-feng's blood. The fighting spirit that he had just lost returned. He struggled to stand up and looked at the mirror image fearlessly. Why? Are you still not admitting defeat? The mirror image asked in surprise. It did not expect Yi Chunfeng to be able to stir up such high fighting spirit in such a desperate situation. In my life, there is no such thing as admitting defeat. Yi Chunfeng, who was covered in blood, raised the gigantic fault heavenly sword high and pointed at the mirror image. Come on, let's continue fighting. Let's see who can survive to the end. Interesting. When the mirror image saw Yi Chunfeng pointing the tip of his sword at it, the corners of its mouth curled up slightly, revealing a cold smile. A terrifying aura surged towards Yi Chunfeng in an overwhelming manner. Burning blood. Facing the aura released by the mirror image, Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and burned all the blood in his body. He stabilized his injuries and increased his strength. The reason why Yi Chunfeng chose to burn his blood and not his life was because he felt that the mirror image was a life form. It was very likely that it could replicate the life-soul technique. However, when they were fighting, Yi Chunfeng realized that no matter how injured the mirror image was, it did not bleed. He guessed that there was no blood in its body and that it could not burn its blood. Burning blood. Seeing Yi Chunfeng burning his blood and increasing his strength, the mirror image frowned. It did not replicate Yi Chunfeng's method. Indeed, the mirror image cannot replicate the burning of blood. When Yi Chunfeng was burning his blood, he realized that the mirror image was indifferent. He knew that he had made the right bet. The mirror image had no blood in its body and could not burn its blood to increase its strength. After burning his blood, Yi Chunfeng reached the peak of his strength. He flapped his golden rock wings vigorously, stirring up gusts of wind as he continued to attack the mirror image. Pong, pong, pong. Yi Chunfeng and his mirror image were fiercely fighting each other. Dazzling sparks were ignited as the ferocious attacks raged in the air. They were fighting each other with speed and strength. The terrifying attack tore thousands of holes in the cold air. Countless pieces of ice shattered, and a huge sound like a huge bell reverberated between heaven and earth. It's useless. You are destined to be no match for me. I can't kill you. Although the mirror image's attacks were suppressed by Yi Chunfeng's burning aura and soaring fighting spirit, the mirror image's defensive capabilities were too terrifying. Yi Chunfeng's continuous attacks were unable to cause any serious damage to its body. Really? Why do I feel like your aura is starting to decline? Although Yi Chunfeng was still unable to heavily injure the mirror image, his heart was not affected at all. Yi Chunfeng cleared away all distracting thoughts in his mind and only focused on attacking. He firmly believed that he could surpass himself and defeat the mirror image. His attacks were slowly suppressed by Yi Chunfeng, who was burning his vitality. The mirror image with its terrifying defense began to counterattack with all its might, wanting to regain the initiative. Cloud-shattering palm. The mirror image roared and compressed its strength to the extreme. The cloud-piercing palm dragged a bright light shadow as it struck towards Yi Chunfeng. Whoosh! Yi Chunfeng's wings flapped, and his body rose into the air. As he dodged the mirror image's attack, he slashed down with his titanic fault celestial sword, aiming for the mirror image's head. After a series of intense battles, the mirror image's consumption was very obvious. It did not take Yi Chunfeng's attacks head-on like it did at the beginning. Instead, it dodged with all its might. Didn't you claim to be invincible? Why are you dodging in fear? This is not your style. Yi Chunfeng looked at the mirror image that was dodging his attacks and sneered without holding back. Kill! Yi Chunfeng's words hurt the mirror image. He roared and continued to attack Yi Chunfeng with his titanic fault heavenly sword. The two of them did not give way to each other and continued to fight fiercely. From the sky to the ground, from the glacier to the river, Yi Chunfeng and the mirror image fought tirelessly for more than 2 hours. There was still no clear victor. Feeling his vitality weakening, Yi Chunfeng gritted his teeth and burned his vitality again. He forcefully increased his strength and fought with the mirror image to the death. Titanic fault heavenly sword, attack with all your might. Just as the two of them were fighting fiercely, Yi Chunfeng roared. A ferocious blood dragon appeared on his body. His soul power, sword force, and strength were all infused into the titanic Fault Heavenly Sword. He slashed at the exhausted mirror image with all his might. Boom! The two of them clashed, creating a huge storm. The powerful force caused both of them to tremble and retreat uncontrollably. Slash! After the first attack, Yi Chen-feng did not give up. He ignored the numbness in his arms and held the titanic Fault Heavenly Sword tightly with both hands. He slashed at the mirror image, whose expression changed slightly. After the second attack, Yi Chen-feng and the mirror image both worsened their injuries. The powerful aftershock caused Yi Chen-feng to bleed profusely. Large amounts of blood spurted out from his mouth. Slash! His injuries were getting worse, but Yi Chen-feng's aura was like a beacon that shot up into the sky. He roared like an invincible god of war. He held the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword in his hand and slashed down for the third time. He slashed at the mirror image whose pupils shrank and expression changed drastically. The powerful sword slashed at the mirror image and sent it flying. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Chill. After slashing at the mirror image 3 times, the perfect sword force gushed out of Yi Chen-feng's body and deduced the power of the Great Tao above his head. Following that, the terrifying power of the Great Tao turned into Extreme Chill Sword Light and shot down recklessly. It was like a waterfall flowing backwards. It was very powerful and slashed at the mirror image, who had lost control of his body. Extreme Chill. After being attacked by Yi Chen-feng's 7 Swords of Judgment, the mirror image forcibly stabilized its body. Without hesitation, it copied the power of the Great Tao and used the same move to counterattack. The two attacks that contained the power of the Great Tao collided, creating a huge shockwave. A terrifying explosion occurred in the sky. The dazzling light swallowed up all the light in the surroundings. The terrifying aftershock instantly engulfed Yi Chen-feng and the mirror image, destroying their bodies crazily. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Chill. Yi Chen-feng used the power of his qi and blood to withstand the destructive aftershock. He ignored the damage to his body and stimulated all the potential in his body. He used the 7 Swords of Judgment again. This time, he integrated the power of his qi and blood into it. A dazzling sword light of the Great Tao shot into the sky. It was mixed with a profound, chill spirit water and 400,000 pounds of force. It was as if it was going to split the world in half. This sword slashed through everything. This sword looked down on everything. The invincible sword force slashed at the mirror image's body, which had turned pale with fright. The mirror image's body was split in half. Boom! The mirror image's mysterious mirror image shattered. The terrifying mirror image turned into a ball of dark blue energy and floated in the air. Following that, a slowly rotating black hole appeared at the end of the road of ice and snow. Huff, huff. Chapter 219. Pass. Reward. 10,000-year sea heart essence. Just as Yi Chen-feng, who was on the verge of collapse, was lying on the ground and gasping for breath, an ancient voice suddenly sounded in his ears. In the next moment, the dark blue energy from the mirror image surged towards Yi Chen-feng, entering his body through his pores. When the 10,000-year sea heart essence entered his body, Yi Chen-feng felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. A bone-chilling cold surged through his blood vessels, forming a thin layer of frost on the surface of his body. At this moment, every breath that Yi Chen-feng exhaled carried a dense cold air, freezing the air in front of him into ice fragments. Gradually, Yi Chen-feng's internal organs and meridians were also frozen. A large amount of cold air spread on the surface of his body, freezing him into an ice sculpture. If not for the fact that he had cultivated his 6 meridians divine shield to the 5th level, and his body was filled with 400,000 kilograms of strength, such a terrifying cold power would have been enough to freeze his body. Yi Chen-feng endured the corrosion of the 10,000-year sea heart essence's cold energy, but the benefits he received were also extremely obvious. The blood and chi that he had burned previously recovered at an extremely fast speed, from 50% to 60%, 70%, 80%. And his own strength was also rapidly increasing. The soul power in his body became denser and denser, and his spiritual beast, the blood dragon, became more and more terrifying. Its body that was hundreds of meters long continued to grow, and the dragon scales that covered its body also became larger and larger. After experiencing the benefits of the 10,000-year sea hard essence, Yi Chenfeng bitterly endured the pain, forcibly sealing his open pores to prevent the pure energy from leaking out. He circulated the soul-devouring art over and over again, refining the 10,000-year sea heart essence. Time passed minute by minute. Yi Chenfeng seemed to have forgotten about time, forgot about everything, and devoted himself to the process of refining the 10,000-year sea heart essence. The soul power in his body continued to increase, and the blood dragon's huge body also soared to more than 500 meters long. Just as Yi Chenfeng was about to break through to the 5th grade heavenly beast immortal realm, an eye toad the size of a calf appeared. It was covered with disgusting lumps all over its body and had 8 eyes on its head. The reason why the 8-eyed toad had arrived at the end of the path of ice and snow before the Snake Demon King was because its cultivation time was much shorter than the Snake Demon King's. Correspondingly, the difficulty of the test was also lower than the Snake Demon King's. Relying on its innately gifted physical body, the 8-eyed toad finally reached the end of the path of ice and snow after paying the price of being heavily injured. It saw Yi Chenfeng sealed in a giant block of ice. It's that brat. He's frozen. When the 8-eyed toad discovered Yi Chenfeng, it immediately thought of the many treasures on his body. Its 8 eyes shone with burning light and killing intent. Goo! A powerful sound wave shot out from the 8-eyed toad's mouth. Like a tsunami, it bombarded the frozen body of Yi Chenfeng. It wanted to seize this heaven-sent opportunity to kill Yi Chenfeng and take everything from him. Although the 8-eyed toad was heavily injured and only had 30% of its demonic power left, the ice formed by the 10,000-year sea hard essence was still unable to withstand its attack. The solid ice trembled violently under the attack of the sound wave. Crisscrossing cracks appeared on the surface of the ice, which awakened Yi Chenfeng, who was refining the 10,000-year sea heart essence. Yes, it's that 8-eyed toad. It actually chose this path of ice and snow and reached the end. Yi Chenfeng opened his eyes in the ice. When he saw the calf-sized 8-eyed toad, his face turned gloomy. After 4 days of cultivation, Yi Chenfeng had refined 90% of the 10,000-year sea heart essence. His body had completely adapted to the erosion of the cold air. His soul power was almost overflowing. The power of the blood dragon had also reached its limit. He was about to break through to the 5th grade heavenly beast immortal realm. But at this critical moment, the 8-eyed toad appeared and interrupted his cultivation. Yi Chenfeng had no choice but to stop his breakthrough. He erupted with powerful physical strength and shattered the ice that sealed his body, waiting for an opportunity to strike. What? You want to run? The 8-eyed toad's 8 ferocious eyes locked onto Yi Chenfeng. It opened its bloody mouth and stuck out its long tongue as it spoke in a deep voice. Although the 8-eyed toad had paid a great price to reach the end of the path of ice and snow, and its body was heavily injured, it did not know how terrifying Yi Chenfeng was. In addition, Yi Chenfeng could not summon the sword puppet on the path of ice and snow. This was the best opportunity to kill him. Once it killed Yi Chenfeng and obtained his great fortune, the 8-eyed toad was confident that it could undergo the terrifying lightning tribulation and become an existence like the Black Tortoise King. Did I say I wanted to run? Yi Chenfeng's sharp senses told him that the 8-eyed toad was heavily injured and that he had a chance to kill it. He immediately changed his mind and summoned the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword. He was filled with killing intent. Huh! As Yi Chenfeng roared, 400,000 Jin of force erupted from his body. The powerful force instantly cracked the ground beneath his feet. A blood dragon that was over 500 meters long emerged from his body and roared at the 8-eyed toad. Sensing Yi Chenfeng's powerful aura, The eight-eyed toad's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. It was surprised by Yi Chunfeng's terrifying aura. However, when it thought of Yi Chunfeng's many treasures and the fact that it could only use 30% of its strength after being heavily injured by the puppet on the path of ice and snow, the eight-eyed toad did not retreat. Its huge body suddenly expanded and a powerful sound wave gushed out from its mouth. It swept towards Yi Chunfeng like a dragon. Complete sword aura break. Yi Chunfeng did not dodge the sound wave attack released by the eight-eyed toad. Complete sword aura gushed out from his body and merged with the titanic fault heavenly sword as he met the attack head-on. Swish! An ear-piercing sound of friction resounded. The titanic fault heavenly sword that was filled with 400,000 gene of force tore apart the sound wave released by the eight-eyed toad like a hot knife through butter. It approached the eight-eyed toad at an extremely fast speed. How is this possible? How can his attack power be so terrifying? The eight-eyed toad had never fought with Yi Chunfeng before. It did not know that his attack power surpassed the ordinary mystic beast sect experts. When it discovered that its sound wave attack was torn apart by Yi Chunfeng's sword, it reacted instinctively. Its huge body suddenly leaped into the air. Cloud-shattering palm. The moment the eight-eyed toad dodged, Yi Chunfeng's narrowed eyes locked onto it. The palm that was filled with 400,000 gene of force fiercely slammed forward and landed on the soft belly of the eight-eyed toad. A single palm strike sent the eight-eyed toad flying. Its huge body fell several hundred meters away and created a huge crater on the ground, aggravating its injuries. Swish! An afterimage flashed past. Yi Chunfeng used Shifting Phantom and approached the eight-eyed toad that had jumped out of the crater with extreme speed. Its injuries were getting worse and worse. Eight-eyed attack. As Yi Chunfeng approached, the eight-eyed toad's 8 hideous eyes shot out extremely thin beams of light towards Yi Chunfeng. It wanted to force him back. However, the eight-eyed toad was too heavily injured. Its sharpest killing move could only display about 20% of its peak strength. It was not a threat to Yi Chunfeng at all. Instant kill sword. Yi Chunfeng's body suddenly accelerated. He merged with the titanic fault heavenly sword and slashed out a light shadow that was as fast as lightning. The sword aura was compressed to the extreme. The incomparably sharp sword light shattered the beams of light that shot out from the eight-eyed toad's 8 eyes. The eight-eyed toad was blinded in one of its eyes, causing it to howl in pain. Demonic core ignition. With one of its eyes blinded, the eight-eyed toad knew that it had underestimated Yi Chunfeng. In order to survive, it did not hesitate to burn its demonic core. This was its last chance. Boom! A powerful demonic energy exploded within its body, causing the cold air to tremble violently. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Frost. The moment the eight-eyed toad burned its demonic core, Yi Chunfeng's sword aura gushed out from his body and started to derive the power of the Great Tao. The terrifying extreme frost sword aura swept up a vast and unparalleled force. It tore apart the space of the path of ice and snow and attacked the eight-eyed toad. The sword pierced through the eight-eyed toad's defense and sank into its body. How is this possible? How can his attack be so powerful? Chapter 220. 11 Demonic Crystal Bones. When Yi Chunfeng collected the monster core of the eight-eyed toad, he unexpectedly found 11 demonic crystal bones of different sizes in its body. Collect. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng collected the 11 demonic crystal bones into his cosmos bag. He then leaped into the air and flew into the slowly rotating black hole, disappearing from the path of ice and snow. What a majestic stone forest! After flying out of the path of ice and snow, Yi Chunfeng found himself in a towering stone forest that was dozens of meters tall. Wisps of mist slowly flowed through the stone forest, adding a bit of an immortal aura. Sword puppet, protect me. Yi Chunfeng didn't trespass into this dangerous stone forest. He sat cross-legged at the edge of the stone forest and continued to refine the remaining sea heart essence in his body to break through to the level 5 heavenly beast immortal realm. Although he was disturbed by the eight-eyed toad when he just broke through, Yi Qinfeng's cultivation foundation was extremely solid and wasn't affected in the slightest. About 6 hours later, an extremely penetrating dragon's roar resounded in Yi Qinfeng's body. The 600-meter-long blood dragon emerged from Yi Qinfeng's body and roared into the void. Phew! I've finally broken through to the level 5 heavenly beast immortal realm. After refining the 10,000-year-old sea hard origin, Yi Qinfeng made a breakthrough in his cultivation in the most perfect state. His spiritual beast, the blood dragon, became even more terrifying. After breaking through, Yi Qinfeng didn't waste any more time. Together with the sword puppet, he walked into the endless stone forest. It's so quiet. After entering the stone forest, Yi Qinfeng found that there wasn't any movement in the stone forest. It was so quiet that it was frightening. Yi Qinfeng followed the winding path in the stone forest. After walking for about an hour, he found a huge stone cliff in the middle of the stone forest. On the cliff, there was an aqua blue longsword, a pitch-black broadsword, and a 9-foot 9-inch long silver spear. Top-grade earthly weapons. There are actually 3 top-grade earthly weapons on this cliff. Yi Qinfeng was pleasantly surprised when he sensed the grade of the sword, spear, and blade. Supreme-grade earth tools were extremely precious in the outside world. Even a level 5 mystic beast sect expert, like the sword demon, did not have one. If it were to be circulated in the outside world, it would be enough to cause all the major forces to go crazy over it. Sword puppet, end this quickly. Yi Qinfeng sent a telepathic message. He summoned a 600-meter-long blood dragon and charged forward with the gigantic fault heavenly sword. Chi. When Yi Qinfeng's gigantic fault celestial sword and the sword puppet spear collided, there was an ear-piercing sound of friction, and a large amount of sparks bloomed in the air. What a powerful strength! After breaking through to the level 5 heavenly beast immortal realm, Yi Qinfeng's physical strength was close to 450,000 pounds. But when he faced the golden puppet's spear head-on, he felt his arm go numb, and his whole body uncontrollably took a step back. Although the sword puppet relied on its powerful attack to suppress the golden puppet in an instant, the golden puppet's defense was extremely terrifying, and the sword puppet could not break it in a short time. Roar! Just when Yi Qinfeng and the sword puppet were fighting fiercely with the 2 golden puppets in the center of the stone forest, an angry roar was heard from the periphery of the stone forest. Black Tortoise King. He actually broke through those 3 paths. Hearing the Black Tortoise King's angry roar, Yi Qinfeng's face changed slightly, and a dignified look appeared on his face. Although it was almost impossible for the Black Tortoise King to kill him with the sword puppet's protection, if the Black Tortoise King appeared here, then the difficulty of obtaining those 3 treasures would be greatly increased. Golden Rock Wings. The appearance of the Black Tortoise King completely disrupted Yi Qinfeng's plan. As a last resort, Yi Qinfeng summoned the Golden Rock Wings, setting off a hurricane. He wanted to break through the golden puppet's attack and forcibly seize the 3 supreme-grade earth tools. However, the golden puppet's attack was too terrifying, and the revolving spear lights completely enveloped him, not giving him a chance to break through. Sword puppet, quickly seize those 3 supreme-grade earth tools. Yi Qinfeng was forced back by the fierce attack of the golden puppet, and immediately gave the order to the sword puppet. After receiving the order, the sword puppet decisively gave up its attack, and faced the golden puppet's attack head-on, approaching the treasure cliff. At this time, the Black Tortoise King, who heard the sound of the battle, was like a small, moving hill, crushing the stone pillars one after another, and quickly rushed over. Yi Qinfeng, I finally caught up to you. When the Black Tortoise King passed through the dust and appeared in the center of the stone forest, it saw Yi Qinfeng at first glance. Its round eyes shot out a thick, murderous intent, and it ferociously roared. Buzz! The Black Tortoise King was just about to launch an attack at Yi Qinfeng, but the sword puppet leaped into the air and grabbed the aqua blue longsword and forcefully pulled it out from the treasure cliff. For a moment, the air was filled with the ear-piercing sound of the sword, and it immediately attracted the Black Tortoise King's attention. Supreme Grade Earth Tool. Feeling the power contained in the sword, spear, and blade, the Black Tortoise King's round eyes shot out a burning light. It decisively gave up attacking Yi Qinfeng, and its huge body quickly rushed towards a treasure cliff. Swoosh! The golden puppet, who was about to give chase, saw the Black Tortoise King rushing over, and a powerful force erupted from its body. It thrust out a golden spear light at an extremely fast speed. Die for this king. Facing the golden puppet's attack, the Black Tortoise King let out an angry roar. Two heavy axes that weighed over 10,000 jin flew out of its mouth, smashing the golden puppet's spear light like breaking a dead branch, and heavily smashing into its body. Although the golden puppet's defense was terrifying, the Black Tortoise King was after all a level 4 heavenly beast, and with its innate talent, its explosive attack power was over 1,000,000 jin. Pung! The golden puppet was struck by the powerful double axes, and its entire body was split open. A magic crystal bone fell from its split body onto the ground. The Black Tortoise King relied on its absolute power to instantly kill one of the golden puppet. The other golden puppet gave up attacking Yi Qinfeng and attacked with its long spear. Roar! The Black Turtle King angrily roared. A powerful demonic power gushed out from his mouth and bombarded the golden-armored puppet's body at close range. It shattered the golden armor on its body and sent it flying. Its solid body exploded in midair, and a fist-sized magic crystal bone fell from the sky. Swoosh! The sword puppet seized the opportunity when the Black Tortoise King was killing the two golden puppets, and quickly moved around the treasure cliff, grabbing the large black blade not far from it, pulling it out with all its might. Roar! Seeing the sword puppet snatch away the two high-grade earth weapons, the Black Tortoise King was completely enraged, and a powerful sound wave burst out from its mouth, shattering the solid treasure cliff and causing the sword puppet to fall from it. Sword puppet, come back. There are not many mid-grade soul crystals left, and Yi Qinfeng did not want to continue fighting. He decisively gave up on the last high-grade earth weapon and summoned the sword puppet back. Let's go. Chapter 221. Lowly Brat, where do you think you're going? The Black Tortoise King swallowed the extreme-grade, earth-ranked silver spear into its stomach. It shattered the tall treasure cliff and quickly chased after Yi Qinfeng, who was flying at high speed. Besides the two golden-armored puppets guarding the treasure cliff, there were no other dangers in this stone forest. Yi Qinfeng quickly flapped his golden rock wings and flew for more than 2 hours before reaching the end of the stone forest. Spatial black hole. Seeing a black hole appear at the end of the stone forest, Yi Qinfeng didn't even think about it. He directly flew into the black hole and disappeared into the chaotic stone forest. Not long after Yi Qinfeng flew into the black hole, the Black Turtle King chased after him and also flew into the black hole. There are 2 more paths. Yi Qinfeng passed through the black hole and entered an ancient hall. He discovered that there were 2 paths in the hall that led to an unknown place. They were filled with the power of thunder and fire. If you enter the path of thunder and fire, there's a 40% chance of dying. Give up, and you'll be rewarded. Just as Yi Qinfeng slowly walked over, he saw a stone tablet in the middle of the path of thunder and fire. There were several lines of words written on the stone tablet. Which path should I choose? Yi Qinfeng looked at the path of thunder and fire and hesitated. Phew, let's try the path of fire. Yi Qinfeng guessed that the Black Turtle King, who had survived the thunder tribulation, would most likely choose the path of thunder. Thus, he had no choice but to enter the path of fire and try not to fight the Black Turtle King. What a high temperature! After entering the path of fire, Yi Qinfeng immediately lost contact with the sword puppet. He discovered that the 2 sides of the path were burning with flames. The high temperature burned his skin, and a large amount of fire energy entered his body through his pores as if it wanted to melt him. Primal Chaos Divine would devour. The Primal Chaos Divine could devour all energy. Feeling more and more fire energy entering his body, Yi Chunfeng quickly controlled the parasitic primal chaos divine would to devour the fire energy in his body. With the primal chaos divine would devouring him, the pressure on Yi Chunfeng was greatly reduced. His body flashed, and he quickly rushed toward the end of the path of flames. What is that? Yi Chunfeng moved quickly for the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Suddenly, he felt a huge pressure above his head. A meteor with a long flaming tail cut through the scorching space and locked onto Yi Chunfeng, falling towards him at an extremely fast speed. Blood Dragon Fusion, 450,000 gene of strength. Unable to dodge, Yi Chunfeng decisively fused with the Blood Dragon's power and unleashed a terrifying power. He held the gigantic fault celestial sword and charged forward. Rumble. When Yi Chunfeng's sword strike, which was filled with 450,000 gene of force, struck the flame meteor, it was as if it had struck an indestructible piece of black iron. A powerful explosive force resounded on the surface of the flame meteor. The terrifying explosive power went through the sword and into Yi Chunfeng's arm. Blood gushed out his arm, and he couldn't stop backing away. Blood gushed out uncontrollably. Perfect sword presence. Yi Chunfeng's body was pushed back by the flame meteor. He yelled out, and the perfect sword presence gushed out of his body and fused into the gigantic fault celestial sword. It kept increasing the attacking power of the gigantic fault celestial sword as he attacked this flame meteor with all his strength. Kacha! Kacha! When Yi Chunfeng used all his strength to repel the flame meteor, there were cracking sounds. The flame meteor was attacked by the perfect sword presence and 450,000 gene of force. The surface of the flame meteor finally cracked. Break! Yi Chunfeng used all his strength in one go. He gripped the gigantic fault celestial sword tightly and pierced through the flame meteor, shattering it. Huff! Huff! The power of this flame meteor is too terrifying. Although he had shattered the flame meteor, Yi Chunfeng's arms were bleeding from the impact of the flame meteor. His blood was boiling, and he had used up a lot of his strength. It seems that with my current strength, it won't be easy to pass through this path of flames. Sensing the difficulty of this path of flames, Yi Chunfeng hesitated for a moment before taking out a fist-sized devil crystal bone. He was prepared to refine this devil crystal bone on this path of flames, tempering his bones and increasing his strength. If he could cultivate his bone-forging realm to the perfect realm, then his physical strength would reach 350,000 gene of force. That would be enough to deal with the various dangers of this path of flames. Why is the devil chi within this devil crystal bone so weak? When Yi Chunfeng released the devil chi within the devil crystal bone, he was surprised to find that the devil chi within it was extremely weak. It wasn't enough to pose any threat to him, so it was easily devoured by the God-Eater brain. Soul-devouring art, devour. After the God-Eater brain devoured the devil chi, Yi Chunfeng immediately circulated the soul-devouring art to devour the pure energy within the devil crystal bone. The devil crystal bone that Yi Chunfeng had refined was the size of a fist. The energy it contained far surpassed the devil crystal bone that Mo Yiyan had given him. As a large amount of pure energy entered his body, Yi Chunfeng clenched his teeth and endured the pain. Bit by bit, this energy passed through his flesh and blood, forcibly suppressing it into his bones and tempering them. Why is the devil crystal bone's body tempering effect so much worse than before? Yi Chunfeng clenched his teeth. When he fully focused on tempering his body, he found that the devil crystal bone's body tempering effect was far worse than the previous 2 times. Could it be that my body has developed antibodies to the devil crystal bone? Thinking of this possibility, Yi Chunfeng's mind rapidly spun as he tried to think of a solution. He really couldn't waste too much time on this path of flames. If the Shin Turtle King rushed out of the path of lightning ahead of time, he would lose the initiative and fall into a passive state. Lightning can increase body tempering speed. I wonder if flames can do the same? Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and decided to take a risk. He controlled the primal chaos divine wood to stop devouring the devil crystal bone. He circulated the 6th meridian divine shield, slowly suppressing the flame energy invading his body into his bones. Every time he forced a trace of flame energy into his bones, Yi Chunfeng would have to endure the pain of his body burning. Although the pain was unbearable, the effect was very clear. After confirming that the flame energy really could increase the speed of tempering his bones, Yi Chunfeng relied on his tenacious and unyielding heart to bitterly persevere, enduring the torment of the flame tempering his body. Time passed bit by bit amidst the immense pain. Bone forging 70%, 80%, 90%. Yi Chunfeng bitterly tempered himself for over 12 hours on the path of flames, completely fusing the fist-sized devil crystal bone into his bones. His physical strength had risen to 500,000 genes. After refining the first devil crystal bone, Yi Chunfeng didn't stop. He immediately took out the last fist-sized devil crystal bone, swallowed the demonic energy, and continued to refine it. By the time Yi Chunfeng had refined the majority of the energy contained within the devil crystal bone, he had finally tempered his entire body to perfection. Each bone sparkled like a crystal, and his physical strength had risen once more. Bones like crystal, indestructible. This is the display of the great circle of the bone forging realm. Feeling the changes in his bones, as well as his physical strength that had risen to 550,000 genes, Yi Chunfeng let out a long sigh of relief. He punched out into the scorching void. Rumble! With this punch, his strength was compressed to the limit, and it blew apart the layers of flames, smashing apart a fiery red boulder not too far away. With my current physical strength, I should be able to easily shatter that flame meteor. Now that he had reached the great circle of the bone forging realm, Yi Chunfeng didn't waste any more time. He summoned the golden rock wings and set off waves of heat as he quickly flew towards the end of the path of flames. Chapter 222. Instant Kill Sword. Yi Chunfeng's pupils shrank as his body fused with the titanic fault celestial sword. Like a flash of lightning, the sword pierced towards the falling meteor. Rumble! The meteor was struck by Yi Chunfeng's sword, which was filled with 350,000 pounds of force, and the huge meteor started to tremble. The terrifying sword aura directly pierced through the meteor and shattered it. Relying on his absolute strength to shatter the meteor, Yi Chunfeng did not stop. He quickly flapped his golden rock wings, passed through the endless sea of fire, and flew towards the depths of the road of flames. Just as Yi Chunfeng was about to challenge the road of flames, a black-robed man with turbid but powerful eyes appeared on the road of flames. He exuded a murderous aura from head to toe. This man was the sword demon who wanted to assassinate Yi Chunfeng. Lava! Yi Chunfeng continued to fly at high speed. After shattering more than 10 meteors, the scene in front of him changed. The endless sea of flames disappeared, and in its place was a sea of slowly flowing dark red lava that emitted a scorching heat and had a large number of bubbles. A winding, 1-meter-wide rocky path led to the end of the magma. Feeling the heat of the lava, Yi Chunfeng did not doubt that if he fell in, his body would melt instantly. In order to conserve energy and deal with any danger that might appear at any time, Yi Chunfeng withdrew his golden rock wings and stepped onto the hot rocky road with the titanic fault celestial sword in his hand. Boom! The moment Yi Chunfeng stepped onto the rocky road, a huge explosion sounded in the fiery red sky. The terrifying aura suppressed the lava and set off huge waves. The terrifying heat wave covered the sky and swept towards Yi Chunfeng. In the next moment, a meteor with a diameter of 1.5 miles, burning with purple flames on its surface, broke through the fiery red sky and crashed towards Yi Chunfeng with the weight of Mount Tai. Seeing this huge meteor, Yi Chunfeng's expression changed. Without thinking, he immediately used shape-shifting phantom and created 9 shadows. He wanted to use his speed to dodge this destructive attack. However, Yi Chunfeng's body was affected by the pressure of the meteor. His movement speed was greatly reduced, and he could not completely dodge the meteor's attack. He could only use his powerful strength to take it head-on. Yi Chunfeng held the titanic fault celestial sword tightly with both hands and stabbed towards the meteor that was descending from the sky. 350,000 pounds of force and the complete sword aura on the surface of the Titanic Fault celestial sword kept increasing the power of the sword. Rumble. When the Titanic Fault celestial sword hit the meteor that was 3 miles in diameter, a powerful explosive force appeared on the surface of the meteor. A large number of cracks appeared on the meteor. An endless amount of scorching energy gushed out from the meteor, instantly engulfing Yi Chenfeng. In an instant, Yi Chenfeng's body was heavily injured. The surging hot energy crazily poured into his body, shaking his internal organs and burning his skin. If it were not for the primal chaos divine, with suppressing the surging hot energy, this heat would have been enough to melt him. 350,000 pounds of force, break for me. Enduring the destructive heat of the meteor, Yi Chenfeng gritted his teeth and continued to explode with his powerful physical strength, quickly breaking apart this huge meteor. After about an incense stick's worth of time, Yi Chenfeng finally broke this meteor. Surging heat waves spread out in the air. Huff, huff, this meteor's power is too terrifying. If I had not reached the complete realm of the bone-forging realm, I would not have been able to break it with just my physical strength. Yi Chenfeng quickly tossed a spirit-grade soul core into his mouth as he muttered to himself with lingering fear in his heart. After more than an hour, Yi Chenfeng had basically recovered from his physical injuries. His body suddenly accelerated, rapidly flying on the winding rocky path. Soon, a second huge meteor fell from the sky, carrying a destructive power as it bombarded his body. Just as Yi Chenfeng relied on his powerful physical strength to break one huge meteor after another, the sword demon relied on his powerful attack power to break one meteor after another. He also stepped onto this winding stone path above the lava. Huff! I can finally see the end of the lava. Yi Chenfeng used all his strength to break 8 huge meteors. Finally, he saw the end of the lava. He decisively summoned the golden rock wings and flew through the layers of heat waves. Bang, bang, bang. As Yi Chenfeng quickly approached the end of the lava, a large fireball flew out of the lava and shot towards Yi Chenfeng. Although these large fireballs were small in size, the power they contained was extremely terrifying. Before they even hit Yi Chenfeng's body, they already gave him a great sense of pressure. 7 Sword of Judgment, extreme cold. Seeing the large fireballs about to hit Yi Chenfeng's body, he decisively controlled his perfect sword aura and deduced the power of the Great Tao. He slashed out with his strongest move, the extreme cold sword beam. It tore through the scorching space and shattered the large fireballs that were flying towards him. Whoosh! The extreme cold sword beam cleaved through a large number of fireballs. Yi Chenfeng seized the opportunity and suddenly accelerated, turning into an afterimage as he passed through the lava region at an extremely fast speed. He appeared on a straight path that did not seem to pose any threat. Huff! Huff! I finally made it out. Yi Chenfeng retracted his golden rock wings and placed his hands on his knees as he panted heavily. I don't know what dangers await me on this path of flames. Yi Chenfeng observed the seemingly harmless path that led into the distance. He did not barge in recklessly. Instead, he quickly sat cross-legged on the ground and consumed 3 spirit tear soul elixirs to regulate his breathing and recover. Time passed by slowly. Under the nourishment of the 3 spirit tear soul elixirs, Yi Chenfeng's injuries were quickly recovering. Just as Yi Chenfeng was about to fully recover from his injuries and expended soul power, his sharp senses suddenly detected a powerful and dangerous aura behind him. He immediately opened his eyes. Sword demon, he actually caught up to me. Yi Chenfeng saw the sword demon running towards him at an extremely fast speed from afar. His expression changed slightly as he decisively summoned his golden rock wings and flew straight into the distance. Once the sword demon caught up to him, without the protection of the sword puppet, he would be doomed. Yi Chenfeng, where do you think you're going? The sword demon's deep eyes emitted a dense, killing intent. His entire body fused with the longsword in his hand and burst out with astonishing attack power. He shattered the incoming fireballs and chased after Yi Chunfeng with all his might. Rumble. Just as the sword demon rushed out of the lava region and chased after Yi Chunfeng without caring about his injuries, the lava behind them suddenly became restless. An earth-shattering wave of lava swept towards them. Not good. The sword demon saw the rapidly approaching lava wave, and his heart trembled. Without thinking, he decisively burned his blood essence and used the blood escape, which was extremely damaging to his body. Chapter 2:23. How can this magma wave be so fast? Yi Chunfeng sensed a strong threat of death as the magma wave, which was filled with scorching heat and destructive power, approached him like a tsunami. He did not hesitate at all. If he was swept into this rapidly surging wave of magma, he would be crushed and killed instantly by the destructive power that filled it. Sword Demon, who was burning his vitality and using blood escape, was under even greater pressure. The high temperature released by the magma wave made his skin hurt, and large amounts of sweat flowed out of his body uncontrollably. At this moment, he felt that the magma wave behind him was like a huge, devouring mouth that could devour him at any time. Vitality continued burning. As death approached, Sword Demon was scared out of his wits. He burned his vitality at all costs and increased the flying speed of blood escape, forcefully widening the distance between him and the magma wave. Collapsing Cloud Palm. Just as Blood Demon, who was burning his vitality and increasing his speed, was gradually catching up to Yi Chunfeng, Yi Chunfeng suddenly unleashed a powerful physical strength and threw a collapsing Cloud Palm at Sword Demon. He wanted to force Sword Demon to retreat and let the magma wave swallow him. Yi Chunfeng, if I don't kill you, I swear I'm not human. Sword Demon quickly dodged and narrowly dodged the collapsing Cloud Palm with a force of 250,000 Jin. He looked at Yi Chunfeng's fleeing figure and roared loudly. Although Yi Chunfeng's collapsing Cloud Palm did not hit Sword Demon, his soaring speed was greatly affected. Once again, the giant wave of lava closed the distance between them, forcing him to continue burning his blood and chi to increase his blood escape speed. Burning his vitality at such a high intensity greatly damaged Sword Demon's body and affected his strength. If he continued to burn his vitality, it would cause irreparable damage to his body. However, Sword Demon knew that he had no choice but to escape from the magma wave that was getting closer and closer. If he did not use blood escape, then he would be doomed. Yi Chunfeng, I will kill you and take everything from you to make up for my lost vitality. Sword Demon gritted his teeth and swore in his heart. With his keen perception, Yi Chunfeng sensed that Sword Demon, who was burning his vitality and executing blood escape, had caught up to him once more. He continued to send out cloud collapsing palms, sealing off the space in front of Sword Demon and slowing down his escape. Demon killing sword break. When Sword Demon saw Yi Chunfeng's collapsing cloud palm sealing off the space in front of him, he hastily executed his ultimate move, slashing at the incoming attack. Boom, boom, boom. The collapsing cloud palm, which contained a force of 400,000 Jin, was shattered by the demon-killing sword. It immediately released a powerful explosive force, attacking the Sword Demon's body at close range, aggravating his injuries. A stream of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. As his injuries worsened, Sword Demon didn't dare to slow down. He continued to burn his blood chi and used blood escape to escape. Sword Demon, let's see how long you can last. With his keen perception, Yi Chunfeng sensed that the blood chi in Sword Demon's body was very chaotic. He immediately guessed that Sword Demon had suffered serious injuries while crossing the path of lava. He took a risk by reducing his speed and continued to send out cloud collapsing palms at Sword Demon. If he could further injure Sword Demon and consume a lot of his blood chi, Sword Demon wouldn't be a threat to him even if he wasn't swallowed by the lava waves. Yi Chunfeng, if I don't kill you, I swear I am not a human. Seeing Yi Chunfeng sending out cloud collapsing palms, Sword Demon, who couldn't dodge, had a drastic change in expression. He roared in exasperation. Boom, boom, boom. However, being angry was useless. In order to not be swallowed by the lava waves, Sword Demon ignored the injuries on his body and continued to attack, shattering the powerful collapsing palms. When Sword Demon broke the collapsing palms with his absolute attack power, his meridians were damaged. Cracks appeared on the surface of the meridians on his arms, which greatly affected his attack power. Before he had a chance to take a breather, Yi Chanfeng continued to send out cloud collapsing palms and continued to seal the space in front of him. He had no choice but to face the cloud collapsing palms head-on. Sword Demon felt that his injuries were getting worse and worse. The lava waves were getting closer and closer. He knew that he couldn't hide his strength anymore. Otherwise, he would most likely die here. Demon Heart Pellet. Sword Demon made up his mind and took out a pitch-black pellet from his Chinkoan pouch. The pellet was covered with hexagonal patterns and was shrouded with strands of demon chi. He raised his head and swallowed it. In the next moment, a powerful demon chi burst out from his body. Endless demon sounds circled around his body. After swallowing the Demon Heart Pellet, Sword Demon not only suppressed his injuries for a short period of time, his strength also reached the peak of 6th grade Mystic Beast Grandmaster. He instantly increased the speed of blood escape. What a powerful demon chi! Feeling the sudden increase in strength of Sword Demon, Yi Chenfeng was shocked. He decisively gave up on attacking Sword Demon and activated his Golden Rock bloodline. He increased his flying speed and flew straight to the end of the road. Although the Demon Heart Pellet had greatly increased Sword Demon's strength, the side effects were equally terrifying. If he couldn't kill Yi Chenfeng in the limited time, then Sword Demon would be in danger again. Chi and blood burn. Sword Demon made up his mind and continued to burn his chi and blood. He increased the speed of blood escape and gradually closed the distance between him and Yi Chenfeng. 1,000 meters, 800 meters, 500 meters, 300 meters. When the Sword Demon had shaken off the huge wave of lava behind him and closed the distance between them by 50 meters, he decisively attacked. Streaks of sword shadows filled with demonic energy slashed towards Yi Chenfeng like lightning. Suddenly attacked by Sword Demon, Yi Chenfeng immediately flapped his golden rock wings to dodge. Although he relied on his nimble body to dodge Sword Demon's attack, his speed was affected. Sword Demon once again closed the distance between them. Yi Chenfeng, let's see where you can escape to this time. The Sword Demon, who was surrounded by demonic energy, stared at Yi Chenfeng, who was just inches away from him. He continuously used powerful soul skills to attack him, wanting to kill him and seize all the treasures on his body. Life Spirit Technique burns 60 years of lifespan. Sword Demon, who had consumed the Demon Heart Pellet, was too much of a threat. Yi Chenfeng didn't dare to be careless. While dodging in midair, he decisively used the Life Spirit Technique and burned 60 years of lifespan to greatly increase his strength. What kind of secret technique is this? It can actually increase one's cultivation by a whole realm. Sword Demon revealed a deep shock when he sensed that Yi Chenfeng had instantly increased from a 5th grade Heavenly Beast Immortal to a 5th grade Mystic Beast Grandmaster. I must obtain this secret technique. Sword Demon's eyes burned with passion. He once again closed the distance between him and Yi Chenfeng and used all his skills to attack him. Roar! Sword Demon's thunderous attack came. A loud dragon's roar resounded. A huge shadow of a blood dragon appeared behind Yi Chenfeng and roared at Sword Demon. After using the Life Spirit Technique, Yi Chenfeng's physical strength had also soared to 700,000 Jin. He had temporarily attained the strength of a level 5 Mystic Beast Grandmaster. Chi! Yi Chenfeng's body flashed, and he used the Titanic Fault Heavenly Sword to meet the attack. Crisscrossing perfect sword force and 350,000 pounds of strength, the sword broke Sword Demon's soul skill and pierced towards Sword Demon. The sword pierced the sword that Sword Demon had hurriedly blocked in front of his chest. Following that, a strong rebounding force surged from the surface of the sword and into Sword Demon's body. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was pushed back, almost falling to the ground. How is this possible? How can his strength be so great? Chapter 224. Instant Kill Sword. After pushing back Sword Demon with one sword, Yi Chenfeng looked at the incoming wave of lava and launched a fierce attack at Sword Demon. He wanted to severely injure him and force him into the lava wave. Art of Thunder Kill. Yi Chenfeng thrust out his sword as fast as lightning. A large amount of lightning surged out from Sword Demon's body and gathered into a lightning sword. It broke through the instant kill sword like a hot knife through butter and forced Yi Chenfeng to retreat. Cloud Break Palm. After the instant kill sword was broken, the golden rock wings on Yi Chenfeng's back flapped violently. He approached Sword Demon at an extremely fast speed and struck out with his cloud collapsing palm, aiming for Sword Demon's chest. Bang! The collapsing cloud palm that Yi Chenfeng threw out with his left hand collided with the fist that Sword Demon had hurriedly blocked. Instantly, a force of more than 700,000 Jin exploded, tearing apart the scorching hot air. The overlapping palms of the collapsing cloud palm crushed the might of the Sword Demon's punch as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The terrifying power gushed into his left arm and tore the muscles of his left arm. Scarlet blood gushed out from the wound as his entire body was sent flying. Art of Thunder Kill. Myriad Thunder Sword. His left arm was injured by Yi Chenfeng, so Sword Demon forcefully stabilized his body. His body, which was as imposing as a sharp sword, quickly spun around. Streaks of lightning flew out of his body and transformed into numerous lightning swords. They twisted the space and ruthlessly crushed towards Yi Chenfeng. Blood Dragon Armor. Yi Chenfeng saw that the scorching air was emitting a glaring fire under the attack of the Myriad Thunder Sword. He decisively controlled the Blood Dragon to form a soul armor. A large amount of blood-red scales covered his entire body. In a split second, Yi Chenfeng threw out 7 sword strikes. The sword light, with the perfect sword force and 700,000 pounds of force, sealed the space in front of him and clashed with the Myriad Thunder Sword. Rumble! A series of powerful explosions rang out as the two powerful attacks collided, creating a powerful shockwave that swept out in all directions. It was as if a calamity was coming. With the help of the Blood Dragon armor, Yi Chenfeng forcibly withstood the impact of the recoil. The perfect sword force gushed out of his body, tearing apart the opposing airflow and thrusting his sword toward the Sword Demon, who was filled with devil chi. Facing Yi Chenfeng's sword attack, Sword Demon did not dodge. Instead, he stabbed his shining longsword at Yi Chenfeng's chest. 100 Crystal Cold Jade Talisman. Yi Chenfeng did not expect the Sword Demon to want to injure him. He decisively used 100 Crystal Cold Jade Talisman to form a layer of cold light around his body, blocking the Sword Demon's sure-kill attack. The moment Yi Chenfeng used the 100 Crystal Cold Jade Talisman, the Sword Demon also used his life-saving technique. A palm-sized, pitch-black heart protective mirror appeared in front of his chest, blocking the attack of the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword. In a split second, the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword, which weighed 10,000 pounds and was filled with 700,000 pounds of force and perfect sword force, pierced the black heart protective mirror. The powerful attack shattered the heart protective mirror, causing a large number of cracks to spread out on the surface of the heart protective mirror. At the same time, the long sword in the Sword Demon's hand pierced through the light shield formed by the 100 Crystal Cold Jade Talisman. Break! The Sword Demon roared. The devil chi in his body crazily surged into the longsword, instantly increasing the power of the longsword. It pierced through the 100 Crystal Cold Jade Talisman, penetrated the Blood Dragon armor, and pierced towards Yi Chenfeng's heart. Brat, go to hell! The long sword wrapped in demonic chi pierced into Yi Chenfeng's body. The Sword Demon revealed a sinister smile. He wanted to pierce through Yi Chenfeng's heart meridian in one go and cripple his cultivation, turning him into a cripple. We don't know who will die yet. Instant kill sword. With his chest pierced, Yi Chenfeng didn't dodge. Instead, He used the instant kill sword to increase the power of the gigantic fault heavenly sword, shattering the black heart protective mirror. What? What is in his heart? The black demon ignored his injuries and continued to attack. Suddenly, he sensed a terrifying power in Yi Qinfeng's heart. It blocked his killing sword, preventing him from piercing through Yi Qinfeng's heart. However, the devil chi in the long sword still damaged Yi Qinfeng's organs and meridians, worsening the injuries on Yi Qinfeng's body. At the same time, the gigantic fault heavenly sword had pierced through the black heart protective mirror and reached the sword demon's body. Sensing the horrifying power of Yi Qinfeng's sword, the sword demon's expression changed drastically. He quickly pulled out the long sword from Yi Qinfeng's body and backed off. Shadow Golden Needle Talisman, attack. The moment the sword demon dodged, hundreds of golden needles flashed in front of his eyes and pierced into his head, attacking his soul directly. With his soul being attacked by the Shadow Golden Needle Talisman, the sword demon felt like his head was going to explode. He had a splitting headache, and a huge amount of blood flowed out from his 7 orifices. Die. Seizing this rare opportunity, Yi Qinfeng used all his strength to stab the gigantic fault heavenly sword into Yi Qinfeng's body. The gigantic fault heavenly sword's strength exploded inside Yi Qinfeng's body, blowing a bloody hole in his chest. Devil Sound. Seeing that the gigantic fault heavenly sword was about to penetrate Black Demon's body, a huge amount of Black Devil Sound rushed out from his mouth and attacked Yi Qinfeng at close range. The terrifying sound wave was like a heavy hammer as it bombarded Yi Qinfeng's body, injuring his soul and body. It caused his reaction to pause momentarily, allowing the sword demon to narrowly escape the calamity. Just as the two of them were fighting to the point where they were both injured, a terrifying wave of lava swept over. The terrifying aura caused Yi Qinfeng and the other to feel fear. They decisively gave up on attacking the other party and endured the heavy injuries to their bodies as they quickly fled for their lives. Although the series of exchanges just now were all within the sword demon's careful calculations, he did not expect that Yi Qinfeng's heart vein was protected by the primal chaos divine wood. He also underestimated Yi Qinfeng's means, which led to his injuries being even more severe than Yi Qinfeng's. Devil Chi repair. The gigantic fault heavenly sword had blown a bloody hole in his chest. The sword demon, who was burning his blood, tried his best to control the surging devil chi in his body to repair his body. He tried his best to suppress his injuries and run for his life. Yi Qinfeng, who was severely injured, could not attack the sword demon. He controlled the golden rock wings to fly as fast as he could, while drinking the heavenly fate water to heal his injuries. Because the two of them were severely injured, their running speed was greatly reduced. They were getting closer and closer to the lava wave, and the threat of death loomed over them. Golden Rock Bloodline Burn. Yi Qinfeng, who was heavily injured and whose life force was fading away, had no choice but to ignite the Golden Rock Bloodline and increase his speed to the maximum. Soon, he overtook the sword demon, who was at the end of his rope, and flew into the distance. Damn it! Sword Demon panicked when he felt the power of the Devil Heart Pill was fading. He continued to burn his blood and chi at all costs to sustain the blood escape art. He followed closely behind Yi Qinfeng. About half an hour later, when Yi Qinfeng and the Sword Demon were about to run out of energy, they finally saw a towering mountain in front of them. There were 3 black caves at the foot of the mountain. They rushed in without any hesitation. When Yi Qinfeng and the Sword Demon rushed into different black caves, the lava wave that was chasing after them crashed into the mountain. The powerful force caused the mountain to shake violently. Endless air waves rushed into the caves. PFFF. Yi Qinfeng and the Sword Demon spurted out blood at the same time. Their bodies were badly mutilated,